wondering how. I hope my audio is good. There's somebody on. It's short notice. Man, don't start doing that shit, man. This thing better not start tweaking. So I swear it wasn't doing that. Yep. Had to just jump on real quick. Sure, more people get on a little bit later. I mean, it's Friday. I don't know how exactly it's gonna be. Really felt like showing more of this Scorpion King because the last time I went live, I actually got pretty far on here. And now all of a sudden they want to start dropping the frame rate, so I hope I can do it. Oh shit, James, what's going on, man? Boy, Richard came, man. Damn, I can talk to you in a minute. Man, it's funny that you on here, man. I was just thinking about you in Brazil the other day and think about, man, I need to get that P5 just to get online and talk shit with y'all again. But it's like things so different now when with PlayStation, they don't even make physical games anymore. And I'm hearing now they trying to make everything subscription based. Shit, I hear you, man. I hope you can hang in there, man. Man, this shit been pretty much the same for me. I was just trying to maintain for real. I need to get on that shit bad as hell with y'all boys, man. But like I said, I wouldn't even know what's going on now with the PlayStation network. Like, I'm hearing this all subscription based. Yeah, it's like now they trying to make all games digital. They said that when the PlayStation 6 come out, like it's gonna literally be a completely digital based console, which is crazy. So that means you can't even really play none of the games like that unless you paying some monthly subscription or some crap like that. I don't know, like that shit just crazy to me how it's set up now. That boy Alex, what's going on, man? I'm still gonna buy it though. Like I said, just to get on there and kick shit with y'all, man. Some of the games are free, but it's really no games. Yeah, man. It's crazy how they doing that now. So how is it playing like Call of Duty on there now? Like, can you just go on there and just go online and play without paying to get weapons and stuff like that now? Because dude, the last Call of Duty I played, I think was like Black Ops 1. Like as far as like one I know I played consistently every day online, it had to be Black Ops 1. That was in like 2011. I ain't really been on that shit since. Yeah, man. I hope everybody doing all right, man. I hope everybody doing all right. I know y'all had seen the little videos I had posted yesterday, man. That shit was crazy. Just a little backstory on that, man. I don't know. Like I said, every day I be on this job. I mean, of course, y'all know what I do. I mean, not everybody that's subscribed and they'll come across this video later. But for anybody that probably doesn't know what I do, I mean, I do maintenance on the side. I got into maintenance in 2021, I believe, right when I started live streaming. And I've been pretty much doing that ever since. I know before that I told you guys I was running I was doing cleaning from like videos I show with that, but I haven't been in the field doing that. I just have my contract doing that. And I have my this girl I know that goes and do the buildings for me. She's been doing it for about 4 years now. He said they want you to pay for everything online now. Yeah, that's why I was thinking, like, man, honestly, I'm just getting my boy Everyday Struggle. Eventually I'm gonna just pay him to get me a better graphics card and a better processor, so that I can just really just have a PC to use and probably just use that. But I want to get a P5, like I said, just to get on there and really for the online thing. But yeah, man, they just on there just clocking everybody's pockets now. So I'm hearing a lot of people are boycotting PlayStation now. I mean, because if PlayStation is going digital, Xbox gonna go digital whenever they make the Xbox 2 or whatever the hell they gonna come up with next. They brought it back to the classic. That's what's up. That's what's up. I ain't played that. Like I said, I would love to get on there now. I would think that now though, like it's probably so much shit you gotta have, like so many if you have someone as a PS account PSN, you could share. Oh, okay. I can't remember if we used to do that before. Like if you could share games, I think you could. I can't even remember. Yeah, I just hate the fact that it's monthly. I hate paying monthly fees for anything now, man. After having to pay bills and rent for so long, it's like anything that's monthly. I swear I hate paying for that shit, man. I remember when they first made PSN, I think it was like 19 or 20, $50 a year or something like that back in the day. I just thought that shit was absurd, man. It's Sonic, hell yeah, man. Hell yeah, like, and I mean in Grand Theft Auto, I don't know, like I'm just kind of feeling like they gonna probably make that a little too socially conscious. So I'm not really feeling that game like that. I mean, I'm gonna play it, of course, just for the hell of it, but I don't know. I'm just not really feeling this era now, man. It's like it's everything's just become so money based and then so like socially conscious based. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't really enjoy shit no more. But man, we used to have fun on that PSN back in the day, though, man. I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, I'm gonna get a P5 just for that. Yeah, they gonna make it fun. I know they gonna make that game fun as hell. That's why, like I said, I do want to play it. Just just to see what they gonna do on it. I know that shit gonna be fun as hell. But I know one thing. I always thought, man, they need to make Grand Theft Auto in another city. They need to like make it somewhere else. I feel like once they did it in San Andreas, they really should have just used that template as something you kind of like upgrade and develop on after a while. But they did, but in a sense, they kind of veered off of Grand Theft Auto 4, and I don't know. I think it just got really commercial since then, but we'll see. I can't underestimate them like that. But yeah, anyway, man. James was talking about working. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I still doing my little maintenance thing. And I be, seeing all kind of shit on this job every day. A lot of, honestly, I will record everything that I would record every day if I could, but I don't think I legally could do that. I mean, I was shocked I was able to, put what I actually had put up on the internet, but yeah, like that shit, man, I swear on my job, like it be just all kind of shit you see every day. I showed y'all the that guy on over there, that one property. Every time I go there, the white guy that y'all saw in those little video shorts, you know, every time I go there, it's like he always, it's like I, as soon as I go over there in that area where he's at, I might just be going to go throw something away like y'all saw me. And he just automatically come out of nowhere. Yeah, if you want to throw something away, don't worry about it. I'm over here, just warding off the spirits, and one of my handlers is trying to, probably come and attack me. So, I don't know if he's, putting some kind of anthrax gas inside the trash can or anything, but I'm just over here just trying to make sure everything's good. But if you need any trash, just let me know. I'll be over here, practicing my feng shui, and and I'll just be able to get back to you. I don't know. I just had to show y'all that because it's like some of the shit I be going on and seeing every day. Nobody would even believe me if I didn't make like video content showing it. I ain't gonna lie, James. Like, you gotta go look at my shorts, bro. Look at my shorts. I had recorded this guy. But like I said, I technically can't show this stuff like that because, again, these are people's homes, and I'm saying, these are the owners' properties, and obviously they don't want they stuff to be just seen and shown online or whatnot. But sometimes I can't help it, and I just had to record him that day. That dude was talking about all kind of shit. That dude was telling me, like, again, I'm gonna go over there probably. I don't have any more work orders at that property, but one of these days, sometime in another week or two, I'm gonna probably go over there and get some more video footage of the guy. But he was like talking about a bunch of weird shit. That dude was telling me like he was from Ireland. He was telling me that because I asked him when he was born. He said he was born in 1972, and he said at the time he was born, they had like something going on where they were like allowing Irish citizens, to come here to America. Now, again, I don't know if this guy was doing meth or whatever, but he definitely had the resemblance of somebody that does meth, because people that are on that hallucinate. And it's one thing that's in common, I noticed, with people that do that. They always think the government is after them. But this guy was saying that he was under like some MK Ultra experiment back in the 70s. And that's why, like I said, I had to ask the guy, like, well, when the hell were you born? He said he was born in 72. He said that when he was a kid, that I guess like some some elitists like had put him through MK Ultra, and they were sexually assaulting him pretty much like since he was a kid, and that and they pretty much like were after him, and that he had known like about like some stuff that they were the higher elites were doing and shit like that. And I guess because he was like he was being sex trafficked, he was saying that his knowledge of like how everything works in the world, he had to re-educate himself on, because I guess the MK Ultra mind programming didn't allow him to really like know the right teachings and the right information about stuff. Talk. He was very strange, like the way he talked. But again, I wanted to kind of get insight and listen to him. Yeah, he probably was on that cream. I'm not gonna lie, he probably was. But yeah, I remember he was saying that. And then what was interesting, the guy was on. I'm not gonna lie, he kind of caught my attention when he said that over there in Ireland that a lot of people wouldn't believe that they were like Black Irish, because I told the guy that I was like, you do. He kept saying, and Rothschild is and these white elites, and they want to push this. And I tried to tell the guy, I was like, dude, you do know that over there it was a black nobility in Ireland. Like, they were in Ireland, they were over there in Spain, they were pretty much all throughout Europe, and he didn't believe me. And I remember I had showed him some pictures, in some videos and stuff, that I watched on YouTube. He was like, oh, no, that's not true. That's not true. That's the lie that Rothschild wants to perpetuate. And I remember as I was going on, it was kind of funny because when I was trying to, get more detail out of him, at that moment, the guy had just said something strange. He was like, yeah, they don't want me talking to you no more. He just stopped talking to me. He literally said that. He was like, yeah, like he's starting to get mad at me for talking to you. And then the dude literally just stopped talking. Man, I mean, it was starting to get fucking hot out there. So I was like, man, it was, about to rain. And, down here in Georgia, when it's humid and hot and it's about to rain, it'd be hot. I mean, you don't want to be nowhere outside. So I had, just kind of go over in the shade because I was waiting on the internet people to show up, which they never came. But the guy had said that, the reason that the internet was off was because he said that I guess because he went through this MK Ultra thing, and he's one of like the only people that know what's going on, and they're trying to kill him and stuff. He said that anytime that he would like get traction to try to like get any type of resources or anything, they would do something to kind of cut him off. So he said any type of like high elite job or anything, like how he was saying, like with being in the military, they wouldn't let him do that. So he's only delegated to working like low level, low income type of jobs and shit. That boy L Spark, man, what's going on? But the guy was like saying that, you know, he's only delegated to working like low level jobs and stuff. And I thought that was kind of interesting when he said that. Cause I'm not gonna lie, I have heard that before. And you know, how people kind of get forced like in that lifestyle. They make, you know, they kind of, you know, would make them people seem like they crazy. But really it's somebody that probably is like doing something to make their life miserable. I mean, I did hear that before. But I thought it was pretty interesting when he was saying that. But I remember at that moment when I was kind of asking him more questions, he thought that first that I was like somebody that a handler may have sent to try to throw him off. Like that dude didn't know what was going on. But when I, you know, kind of got a little, you know, got him to understand that, hey, I ain't, you know, none of that. I'm just trying to figure out what the hell is going on with you. He actually kind of opened up. Then I noticed, like, as I started asking him questions about it, he's just randomly came out of nowhere. He had randomly had came out of nowhere and said that that yeah, man, like, you know, like I said, like he said I can't talk to you anymore. It was weird, bro. Weird as fuck. And what was even more crazy, I know y'all remember hearing him in the video. If y'all listen to the video, he had said somebody named, that was one of his handlers, named something Brewer. I remember like Richard Brewer or something like that. And it was kind of strange because I remember when I went inside the house that day and I was like looking at some mail and stuff like that that somebody had received. And it did say a name, Richard Brewer. So I don't know what the fuck that man had going on. But all I can tell y'all is that uh he moved into that property. I've been going to that property since I started working with them 2 years ago. And I didn't never notice this guy at this property until um probably like May or something like that. But every time I go there, like this dude, like I said, he just always be pacing around the house and screaming. I'm talking about screaming like y'all showed y'all in the video at the top of his lungs. The neighbors, you know, be all disturbed and stuff. The people that live at the pad split, you know, they don't even interact or say anything. They just try to completely ignore him. You know, I don't even know how the fuck they could live there and deal with that. But yeah, but bro was just like I said, he just be, you know, tweaking out every time I go there. Like every time, it's like he never fails. And you would just walk by him, he just start randomly talking and talking and talking, 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 talking. I'm like, shit, this guy needs is you know is on that fucking Tina. Like this man on that damn Tina Turner. And then man, I fucking do that. And right after I leave from there, let me smoke before I say this shit. Hold on. Oh yeah, dude was definitely a skit. But it's so funny, James, that I want to actually go back and interview this guy because I want y'all to really hear everything he had to say. What was very interesting is the guy, I told him, I was like, you know, with all this stuff you talking about, why don't you just start a YouTube channel? And he said that he was actually looking to try to do that. But I feel like I'll just goddamn, you know, blow up off of him and I'll interview him and make a video and edit it and do all that. He could just goddamn be a featured guest on Scorpio&Sebek universe. You know what I'm saying? But that dude was a total nutcase. But like I said, you never know, man. Like, you know, I'm gonna be honest. We live in a very strange world, you know, and I know that sex trafficking stuff is real. I do know that during the 1970s, that MK Ultra definitely was something they were experimenting on foreigners and people that were coming here from Europe and all those places after they had pretty much like, you know, it's got all those people out of Germany and all those places after World War II. They probably were letting them come to America, and they probably came here, you know, based on some type of, you know, agreement that was made where they, you know, were putting their kids into testings and stuff like that. I mean, you never know. You know, you just really never know in this world. But I try to give people the benefit of the doubt sometimes when I listen to them and have good discernment. And then I just try to, you know, like I say, have a good perception on what I'm possibly listening and seeing. But I asked the guy straight up. I asked him. I said, do you do Tina?" And then he said that he had done it before. He said that the people had forced him to take it though. He said that he's not on drugs, and that like people think that he on drugs and they think he's crazy because of how he is. But I don't know, man. Like I said, that shit was weird, real weird. Because he didn't seem like he was on drugs. I've been around people on methamphetamines, and like I said, those people they start hallucinating. They can start thinking people after them. They'll start pacing back and forth. You know what I mean? Like, or some people again that do meth, they just be chilling. I mean, but I've been around folks that did that shit and get to hallucinating and stuff. So he just had a lot of resemblances of that, and but then he started saying that he didn't do it, and that but he had done it before, but somebody had forced him to do it and all that. I was like, man, I don't know. Like this shit right here, it's kind of strange. But one of these days I'm gonna go back and I'm definitely gonna interview that guy, because I swear it don't matter what time of the day I go over there. I could go over there right now. I bet you he'll be outside, and I bet you he'll talk your head off. And it's fucking 10 o'clock over here. And I guarantee if I were to go over there right now, he would be outside. He's told me that he was a Sigma. Have y'all ever heard? I've heard that term before, but have y'all ever heard of something called a Sigma? And then he was explaining something about that he had did some type of martial arts training or something like that. That's like some form of like defense training. It was like sound like a form of Tai Chi or something like that. But he was explaining like the philosophy of it in something called an INFJ. And he was explaining like the different like acronym of what it meant. I can't remember 100% what it was, but I do remember the guy explaining like it basically was like some form of like martial arts, like what Bruce Lee practices. Um, basically like using people's aggression and using people's assertiveness against them, and you just remaining calm and remaining within your natural self. Now I don't know. He may be somewhat schizophrenic. I don't know, man. Like I said, yeah, you run into all kind of crazy shit out here. Dude, doing this job, like I said, I done ran into people like him. I done ran into a girl. I remember like that girl was threatening to shoot me when I had went in her room by accident, and I was trying to do some work in there, and she didn't know I was supposed to be in there. That girl, I remember she went nuts, and I ain't gonna lie, she had a reason to to get mad. I remember that girl was just like, oh, she was just acting all crazy. She's like, okay, hello, you got to get the fuck out, get the fuck out. I remember she was saying that, but we ended up being cool though. But I remember that girl was acting nuts that day. And then this story, y'all. On average, if you do maintenance work, I'm not gonna lie, like I've always been told that doing this kind of work is like one of the top, like well, I heard in prison it's like the nastiest job that you could do, but it's definitely one of the top like universal type of jobs. I mean, you got to be like a bunch of people in one. But anyway, after I had did this job with the crystal meth guy, I fucking just had to go by one property because I had needed to go and check this room that they kept asking me to go to. And I did just wanted to go there. At first it was two jobs I had to do there. It was one I had to fix a ceiling fan and change the switch on it, and then this other job I was just going clean the room and just go in there and just check to see what was going on, and normal shit. I had went and checked the room with the ceiling fan. It was a guy in there, his cousin. I think that the resident that lives there, his cousin or somebody was in there. I just went there, checked it. I had to just see what type of switch I needed. And then I went up to this room, and I ain't gonna lie, y'all, when I was going up to this room, it was a smell, what I mean, that just it was a real like distinctive, just tainted smell that just was kind of churning my stomach. And I fucking opened this door, like, cause to only get to get inside the rooms, you have to have a specific code. Like you can't just open the door like a regular key lock. Like this has like a digit, it's like a manual, like padded lock that you have to have a code to enter inside. And the only people that have it are, either maintenance or, or the owner, or like I said, or somebody that's management related. So, I mean, with this room particularly, it was supposed to be vacant because the guy hadn't paid on it, in months. So fucking y'all, I opened this goddamn door, and this dude is literally just laid out on the floor. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, it just looks so weird because I'm like, the way he was positioned on the floor, I was like, why would he be just laying on the floor like this and not his bed? You know what I mean? Like, that shit just was weird. And immediately I looked at his feet, y'all. This dude's feet was black. You know what I mean? And I'm not just saying black like he just was, his feet were dirty. It was like, I noticed like, it was like blood clotted up. And you know how, like, if you were to look at a human body, you know, you could see, like, you know, in any living being, you know, you could see movement, like, you know, within like lungs, your lungs, you know, expanding and decompressing. You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit weird. It's like you can see that in every human being, but when I'm sitting here looking at this guy, I did not see that, y'all. And like I said, I'm like, yo, 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 I'm sitting here screaming, and like, he was not responding. Like I said, this dude was not fucking moving. And when I touched him, his body was cold. I'm like, whoa. I was like, hold on, this dude's dead. And I fucking turned around. I went downstairs to the guy that was in the room with the ceiling fan shit. I was like, yo, 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 yo. I was like, yo, do y'all know what's going on with this guy out here? And, you know, again, he didn't talk to nobody, so they didn't know really what was going on. And I'm like, you know, I think he dead in here. They like, everybody kind of, you know, that he started kind of freaking out that he came in there and he saw him. He started screaming his name. He didn't say nothing. He was like, oh, shit. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, you know, screaming and trying to shake his leg and stuff like that. And I knew at that moment, bro, like, this dude ain't moving. Like, he's gone. You know what I'm saying? So I called the police and goddamn told them, look, man, you know, I think this guy in here, I came here to do a wellness check. You know what I'm saying? I'm just, you know, coming to, you know, do my job in this room. I discovered this guy here. I, you know, tried to call his name. He ain't responding. I'm like, look, I think he out of here. They said, oh, you know, okay, could you, they was like, sir, you know, well, we're going to ask you a few little questions, and would you be able to just follow these steps? And I'm like, yes, sir, ma'am, I'm on the phone with you. She said, okay. She said, do you notice, you know, any breathing? And I said, no, I did not notice any breathing. She said, okay. She said, well, sir, can you turn him over and provide CPR? I said, ma'am, look, ma'am. First of all, this dude was like big as fuck. You know what I'm saying? This dude is like the Big Show big. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, look, man, I'm not touching him. Like, this dude is stiff as a goddamn bone. And he was cold to the touch. I'm like, look, man, I'm not doing that. She said, okay. And then she tried to say something else like that, kind of alluded to me touching him and performing some type of CPR. I was like, man, like, I ain't doing that, man. Like, y'all gotta hurry up and get here, all right? And then eventually the first responders came, and that's when I, you know, showed the little video I showed. And just like I had thought, like, they didn't go in there and do no CPR. They didn't even go in there and check his pulse like that. They went in there and looked at him, and they touched him just like the same way I did. And then that's when y'all saw, they said, oh, yep, okay, all the subject here is deceased. So, you know, 1044, you know, and then they start saying all the shit they said. And I knew it at that moment. So, you know what I'm saying? At that moment, I'm just sitting there like, well, fuck, you know, well, y'all got to get him out of here, man. Like, cause I was starting to smell that shit. Is, you know, and that shit, like I said, like the smell of a dead body. I mean, if you thought that a dead like possum or a dead, you know, deer or something like that smell, that shit right there is like the worst smell I think I've smelled. Yeah, he died, bro. I found him dead. I found this man dead. His own family don't even know he dead right now. I found him down. I'm the first person that saw him dead. Out of here. The folks in the house didn't even know he was in there gone. They just smelled, you know, something weird, but they ain't know what was going on. Yeah, I discovered that man dead. So I had to call the folks, and then you know, then the police showed up and they questioned me, and the girl, you know, wanted to know, you know, who I was and why I was there. You know, they gonna do all that. And then when they went in there and found out what was going on, and the policeman, they took like damn near 2 hours to show up. I'm like, you would think that for a deceased body, you know, the police would be there within like 10 minutes or 5 minutes or something like that, man. It literally took them folks like 2 hours to show up. I'm like, god damn. And you know, the girl finally showed up, and shit, that was yesterday, bro. That shit happened yesterday. I mean, it really wasn't traumatizing. I guess it's a part of life. It kind of is like alluding to what I'm getting ready to say now, like what the medical examiner told me, because I was asking the guy questions when he showed up because eventually it was like a couple of hours. That's how they do it if it's something like that. I didn't again this is my first time experiencing that. But I didn't know that again, like if somebody shows up, if something happens, if they can save you, that's the first responders, that's the paramedics. They gonna come and do CPR and do whatever they gotta do to try to save the person. But if it ain't nothing they gonna do, then it's a crime at that point. So that's when they call the police. And the police gotta show up and they gotta write a report, they gonna ask questions, and whoever was the person that discovered them, they gotta be there on the scene. And they gonna get they report or whatnot, figure out what's going on. And if it's like a crime where like it's a bullet, saying in somebody's head, and then all of a sudden I'm there and I called the police, then they gonna of course do more detail and in investigation. But if it's something again like with this guy, I mean, I went in there, it literally was a, I don't know what kind of prescription it was. Y'all can see in the video in a damn full empty bottle of vodka. We talking 80 proof vodka. So yeah, bruh, pretty much like called it out for himself. But it was just strange because when the medical examiner showed up, he didn't have nobody there to help. I had to literally help him bag the fucking body up. Believe it or not, like I had to, we go in there and I'm on the phone and shit with my maintenance coordinator, and then it's all this shit that's in the way. And he was big, man. Like I said, and I had to move all that shit out the way. And I remember the medical guy had fucking they picked him up. Just remember how stiff his body was. That shit just looked weird and all. And then I remember I had to help, like, kind of like position the bag a certain way. I couldn't touch him. I'm not gonna lie. I couldn't do that shit. And yeah, I had to help him basically. Like he somehow slipped him in the bag and zipped him up. And then later on, the other little medical examiner people came, and they dragged him out of there. And he took all three of them. They had to pretty much like drag him down the stairs. I got it all on video, but I don't know if I want to show that on YouTube. I mean, that's a little disturbing. I mean, maybe that'll go on like some Patreon or some shit like that one day. But yeah, they ended up carrying that dude out. They threw him on the stretcher, and then goddamn, yeah, they put him in the in the little 10 or 13-foot on cargo van, and they took him up out of there. Yeah, that sucks, boy. What's Marlon up to, man? I ain't heard from that boy in years. But yeah, that shit was crazy as hell. But I mean, I remember before I took this job, I remember a couple of the other maintenance techs that worked with the same company. One of them had told me, she had told me that it was ironic that I've never really seen a female maintenance tech like that. Not sexist or anything, but I remember she had told me that, yeah, she had discovered the same thing. And I know I've had other guys tell me that they ran into these. I mean, I guess it's common. I remember the medical examiner told me. He asked me. He said, well, how long have you been doing maintenance? And I told him, I've been doing it for 5 years. He said, oh yeah, the longer you do this, you better expect to see this and happen more and more again. 2 kids and a wife. That's what's up. What part of Cali he in? But yeah, I remember guy was telling me that. He said that, yeah, like you just expect to see, but it was pretty interesting with the medical examiner. Like it's literally like those people on the CSI shows and all that shit. Like it's literally them. Like when they show up, like they literally look just like those people, dressed like them and all that. So yeah, it was a pretty interesting experience to see all these different phases of that. You know what I mean? Like I just never thought I would have to see that. Let alone to help put somebody in the body bag. But boy, everyday struggle. He had a job doing that shit, transporting people. He worked for a mortuary. So I could just say honestly, like that takes a certain type of individual to do that. Oh, Fresno. Okay, that's what's up. Got a lot of respect for people who do that type of work. Made me think about like Resident Evil. I mean, could you imagine on Resident Evil, like again, like it's your first day on the job and you a police officer and you got them, you got them like got to deal with all these deceased, mutated bodies all over the city and shit like that, and you try to survive like that. That's a hell of a goddamn story, Clyde. Oh wow, you did that? Yeah, you were working at the hospital. I can't remember what were you doing back then. That shit seems so goddamn long ago. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. What's crazy is, when my mom had mentioned that to me earlier. Um, I yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, I ain't with that. My mom had mentioned to me earlier. I forgot when I was younger. I used to watch that show CSI Miami and CSI Las Vegas. I used to watch that show every day because I wanted to be like a crime scene detective. Because I thought that shit was cool. But man, shit, like to literally see a dead body, like I said, you touch that shit cold, and like I said, that dude's skin was like melting off of him and shit. Cause when your body started decomposing after 3 days, like the blood stops flowing, bacteria and shit starts forming. I remember the guy was saying, and yeah, like I asked him, I was like, dude, why is his skin like it was like his skin was like melting off of him. Like that shit was weird as fuck, boy. And then when I had went in the house today, it was like the whole house just smelled like death. So it was, yeah, that was some weird shit. I ain't gonna lie, my whole career of doing anything, McDonald's, maintenance, like all the shit I told y'all about, I think that was probably the number one thing that's happened so far. And I hope I can play this game without installing. Oh, you were a patient escort? Oh wow. Like for emergency shit? I mean, just to do it in general is crazy. So that means you had to pick them people up and and do physical work and all that with them. Yeah, that shit right there is a lot, man. For people that work in like hospices and shit like that, like so let me play. All right, cool. Yeah, it's some strange jobs out here. What's crazy is I don't know. I was thinking about like if let's what if you were like a under I was looking at some videos of people that like do underwater diving and shit. Oh man. This day that die, yeah, I couldn't do shit like that. Yeah. Damn. What made you take that job? What's crazy is I've always seen jobs like that. I've seen a cemetery cleaner. I've seen a crime scene investigator cleaner. I remember I met one of those guys. That guy told me some stories where he said up there in North Georgia, the cartel had beheaded some girl. And he had to go clean that, and some guy had shot himself with a shotgun in the head and blew everything apart. He had to clean that. I remember that dude was telling me all kind of shit. He had pictures of it, so I'm like, yeah, y'all better than me. Shit, you doing all this shit for some goddamn money. Oh, he pulled some strings. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's usually how it is in hospitals. I never wanted to work in a hospital though. I don't know. That shit is depressing. Need some stuff, darling. It's getting messy as fuck. Say, Alice, what's going on with that case you were talking about with your mom? Hopefully that's going in the direction it need to be. Almost every profession there you have. Yeah, his mom had an injury settlement in suing. That's what's up, man. Is she feeling better though? Yeah, the old man. This is so nice. He's got the most generic voice, man. So look, this look better than how it looked on GameCube. I think the PS2's processor was a lot faster. I know the graphics card was better. Oh damn, that sucks. That sucks. Yeah, in the end, the injuries really, the money really don't even be worth it with the settlement. You know, as far as like what you get compensated and what you have to, what you actually sustain, it don't even be worth it, man. I be hearing my friend every time she get up when I told y'all about her injury settlement and how that whole thing went. Every day she get up, she be in there making all kind of weird noises and shit because she be in pain trying to get up and shit every morning. Yeah, I'll be like, man, this shit here is not worth it. Her ass be sounding like a damn like a damn siren. Every morning she get up. Like, man, that pain right there is not worth it. In most injury cases, it's like shit. You only gonna get like a quarter of what the damn whatever the policy is gonna pay out. You know, if let's say if they whatever workers' comp insurance policy they got, let's say it's $100,000 maximum. Well, that's the what the lawyer's gonna try to go for is 100,000. Out of that 100,000, you know, if they get it, you know, about shit 40,000 out of that's gonna be medical fees, and the lawyer gonna get what like shit probably another what 30,000. You might be left with about 15 to 20, but you still got to be sustaining the injuries, and you still need ongoing treatment after that, which is, you know, what a lot of people don't even talk about. Man, recently Okay, all right, that's a bet. That's a bet. We'll be here. Matter of fact, I don't even think I told y'all, but recently my friend she got in another car accident. She had got in another car accident, but this time settled out and just got the money, but at least she wasn't at fault though. The same one I'm telling y'all that's doing it every morning. She had literally, I don't know what it is, but she be getting lucky. Like she just be like getting these damn cases. But what's crazy is that she told me that her aunt that had died when she was growing up, she said her aunt used to like just get injury settlements and hit up stores for like 10 bands and would let live off of that. She said this woman bought houses and had all kind of cars and used to be a bit booster. She said that she said that she used to literally live off of that and just be getting injury settlements from stores. I think they said that guy Charleston White did the same thing. So people literally live like that. Yeah, those adjusters. Yeah, 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 yeah. They gonna try that. That's what I just had to deal with. They gonna try to lowball you, throw something out there. But the injury. That's what you gotta let the lawyer fight for. At least with an injury settlement, you don't have to pay a lawyer up front. If it's a defense attorney, or they gonna want that money up front because they know you need them. But for something like this shit, they know they getting paid because they know that you ain't at fault for nothing. It's $1,000 a box. God damn. Oh yeah, that's a lot of money. Well, one thing we could say is that she gonna get a big settlement because that's gonna be a big injury bill. But yeah, that's one thing I learned about this country is that insurance thing is just built on the possibility of you not of you possibly making a mistake. But it's like, what if you don't make the mistake? What the fuck am I paying the insurance for? Like you don't get no kind of discount for that. I don't know how it is in other states, but in Georgia, it's like shit, man. The insurance rates here are high as fuck. Like my insurance is literally more than my car note, and thank God with that shit, I only got one more fucking year to pay on it. But my insurance for that shit literally is more than the car itself. Like it's like when you buy a car, you literally paying double the fucking car, let alone the damn interest. You got to pay the insurance on it too. And then if the insurance every month is just as much as the car, then you pretty much paying double what the car is worth. Like I'll tell you, like that insurance shit is a scam. And then it's like if your whole goal is to get some money out of it in the end, I just told you how they gonna break it down. Like I was just telling you with Miss, like when she just went through her thing, the truck was under my insurance policy, so I was the one they were dealing with, as far as the settlement out and all that. So I had more hands on into the situation this time. So the adjuster had to speak with me directly. And yeah, and and I fought with her. I told her like, hell yeah, yeah, we gonna go ahead and settle out. Now we didn't want to do the lawyer shit because I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I didn't give a damn if she sued my insurance company. But like I told y'all, you're not really gonna get shit out of that shit. Like the policy might be worth because the guy that hit her, he didn't even have no damn insurance. So I don't even know how the hell he didn't get arrested for that. But the guy didn't even have no insurance because I was getting ready to sue him for his assets. So I was getting ready to try to go after his personal shit if he didn't have the money. But she went ahead and settled out. But nevertheless, it's like really goddamn. If let's say he had the normal Georgia policy, which is $50,000, then she would have had to wait a whole year. She would have had to run up $20,000 in medical expenses. Lawyer would have got 14. The retainers fee would have been about 1,000. She would have had to probably take out $7,000 in loans. You know what I'm saying? And after it's all said and done, she would have been left with like $3,000. So it's like, why not just go and just settle out and get the damn money up front instead of like instead of goddamn waiting on them and doing that for a whole year. It's like screw it. That's why I remember during this whole thing, it was ironic because I remember we were at the bank and I remember this was right when she had just gotten the injury settlement check. She had just went and got a bank account with Wells Fargo, and ironically it was some lawyer, because when you get when you in a police report, And then it's almost like, like with spam and telemarketers calling you and shit. It's like once your name is in a police report and they know your insurance provider and all that, boy, them people get the calling and shit, offering all kind of services. I remember a lawyer was calling, was like, yeah, we could get you this. And I literally had broke down, like I just told y'all, exactly how that shit was gonna go if I were to hire them. And I remember she had got an attitude with me and was like, well, yeah, well, good luck with your case or whatever, and had wanted to hang up. And I mean, she got mad because I'm like, that's exactly how that shit goes. Like, they have all these fucking commercials and make it seem like you gonna win all these millions of dollars and shit. But yeah, the gross settlement of the case is probably worth $1 million, but you walked away with like 7,000. Like, so what the hell is the point of that shit? Yeah, that shit is a scam. Like I said, at least lawyers and all that, and they'll have you fooled because they sound so proper and they're so educated and so well respected in the field and so prominent, and they do all that, but in the end, these folks out here, crooks and scammers, no different than somebody you'll find on the internet. So it's just crazy how this stuff we. But hopefully she be all right, Alex. I mean, hopefully, main thing is that she could get ongoing treatment for that, because if she suffered head injuries, yeah, that's got to be pretty bad. Because that's what my friend, she suffered that too, and she be having seizures. Now I don't know if the seizures are derived from that, for the accident in particular, or not other shit she got going on, but she did tell me since that accident that she does have spouts of seizures. She's had two of them, since I know I've been around her. So I don't know, that shit right there don't be nothing to play with, like with those head injuries, because you really got to go to a neurologist like ongoing, in order for you to really know what the hell is going on. And they don't be able to just diagnose that up front. And shit, I feel like the lawyer, it's like, hell, if they get all that goddamn money off your case, they should be paying for the ongoing treatment. You shouldn't have to pay no damn insurance for that. You all know how that goes. I'm on here supposed to be talking about video games and all that. I'm on here talking about insurance and taxes and politics and all that. When the fuck did my channel become all this? Oh, that's good. She don't have those. Well, like I said, with my friend, like I said, her seizures is because of other, other reasons. We'll just say, but yeah, I don't know. Like I said, and she did tell me that she got whiplash during the injury. And she did, like, hit her head on the seat, and she told me that she probably suffered neurological damage, and then she told me that they said something about if she didn't get treatment that she could die from it. But I don't know how legit that was. I mean, that's what she kind of over exaggerates, but yeah. But I ain't gonna lie, those head injuries, that shit don't be nothing to play with. Yeah, that at your age, I mean, at 24, shit, yeah, you better start talking to your mom about everything. I became really open with my mom when I became 2020. But me and my mom really, really, knew she really knew what I had going on, like even on a daily basis. Definitely when I was 24, I was just like you. I had just got out of college. Damn, that shit seems so fucking wrong though. Telling my age and shit. Yeah, yeah, that's true. Well, her accident, that was 2 years ago, and she's still alive. Like I said, she ain't gonna die because of no goddamn seizure or nothing like that. She'll die over drugs if anything. You have to handle. Oh wow, that's a lot of pressure. So you have to be the one to manage her insurance payments and and all that stuff. Damn, that's a lot. Yeah, man, I gotta give it to y'all Gen Zers, man. Y'all be having a lot of shit y'all have to deal with early, man. Y'all got a rites of passage of being homeless out here. Y'all got a rites of passage of having to inherit your parents' responsibilities at an early age, and you got to deal with your own shit. It's like, see, the millennials, we had to deal with that shit, but what I'm saying, our parents, honestly, I'll admit, like it's not all Gen Zers, but I notice most. It's like y'all be having to deal with like a lot of shit in y'all 20s. Yeah, man, a lot, man. You got my support, so you always hit me up. Damn, he's in Mississippi. Is your brother older or younger? Yeah, that injury fucked her up. Damn. Yeah, I try to go for $1 million from the goddamn people. She gotta have somebody. If she gotta have her children become her caretaker, then dang. Oh yeah, y'all got a huge age gap. It's 87. Yeah, yeah, that's a huge age gap. Yeah, man, I salute you, Alice, man. I just say, the best thing to do is just try to, focus on your art. Keep a level head. Um, just obviously, be there and exert as much care for it, as you can. And, of course, don't overwhelm yourself and make it feel like it's just totally something that you have to be responsible for. But it's really something that we all got to become accustomed to with our parents at at some point. Because just like how you got to deal with your mom's and inherit her responsibility with that. I mean, I've had that thing with my sister my whole life. My sister don't have she don't she's more artistic, like she don't have like like the same normal skills like that other kids had. She's kind of been like that since she was a baby. I've had to deal with that pretty much her whole life. In addition to the shit I've had to deal with, personally. So I could definitely relate to that. And but that was just my main advice I would give to you. From my experience, dealing with that is just don't overwhelm yourself and make it feel like it's something you could change because obviously you can't change your condition. You can just try to do the best you can, but still enjoy your life as well. Because that's the only thing you really can have control of is whatever you do for yourself. Man, maybe 6 years ago. Yeah, but a head injury, yeah, that's different, man. A lot of people don't come back for that. An ankle injury, you can break your ankle, you can get a prosthetic on bone, or do something like that. But in your head, that's all muscle pretty much, and just you know, it's pretty much brain matter. Can't really replace too much too, too much like material within your head. I would think. that's good, man. Shit, at least when you were in college, you were able to graduate and and actually go through and have a normal college life. I would think like shit. Most people when they once they go to college, if they knew they had a parent they had to be responsible for, or they had to inherit, responsibilities from because either the dad ain't around and you got to be babysitting your siblings, or you got to be doing some more stuff for yourself, or even like like you were saying, you got to inherit even some of the responsibilities that they have, even as you being a kid and having to step up and be an adult early. Like shit, by the time you become an adult, you get in college in those years, man. Shit, thinking about just saying hanging out, doing what you want to do, traveling. Saying being around your friends. Like most people, like early 20s, like shit. They just like I said, they going to get the hell on and abandon their parents. What the fuck? Poison? Achilles? Ooh, yeah, that Achilles, you can't even walk. But that shit, yeah, that shit right there is painful. Man, I'm glad to hear that you there for her and all. Again, you just saying and just saying neglect the situation because it's very very easy to do that. And like I said, bro, like it's so many people out here who I know, like as the years go on and they parents get older, like their parents gonna be in bad shape, man. We talking about like folks out here might be homeless, walking around here in the streets, and but these folks, like again, like maybe parents again they grew up always used to having their own house, always used to having everything, but they get older and probably can't maintain that stuff no more, or maybe forget that they, even got it, or mentally, just can't handle maintaining it, and then they need someone, that's younger to help them do that. And these folks just don't be caring. They just be, trying to live their own life, worry about their own kids and their own loins pretty much. And we have a lot of that shit that go on out here. You talking about your early 20s? Yeah, that's when you start to feel like, well, it's my turn to do what I want to do, and nobody never care nothing about me. Man, shit. I know now the millennial generation, yeah, a lot of us, like, we got in our early 20s, but we tried to abandon our parents. Niggas went to college, and like I said, they didn't give a damn about what was going on at home. But until you need that goddamn money, that's the only time you care about your folks. So, you know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody give a damn about what they folks had going on. But as soon as your ass need that money, you look in your fridge and you realize you ain't have nothing but motherfucking carrots and motherfucking biscuit and shit in there and potatoes to eat. Fucking dollar mac and cheese. Like that's what folks to be hitting their parents up in. You started missing that Chick-fil-A and motherfucking what was it, the Lakeside Landrum cafe they used to have down there in Georgia Southern, man, shit. Other than that, man, no parents. I remember them white kids down there, they give a shit about their parents. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, my boy, Support Gaming. What's going on, man? Yeah. Has she had to use crutches? Oh wow. Wow. What was your second job? What were you doing, Alex? Trust me, I know that two job shit. When I was 24, that was when I had started doing that same shit, man. That shit sucked. That shit sucked. Angel juice, man. But I ain't gonna lie though, when I was working two jobs, I mean, I wasn't under that kind of pressure, where I had to use that to take care of my mom. Or you had a second cleaning job. You know what's interesting, bro, is one thing I tell you is the only thing you can really do if you're gonna have like a second cleaning job is you could only do like those little jobs where it's like 2 hours a night. So let's say like a bank, let's say Chase Bank closed, because that's what I did for 3 years. Let's say like when Chase Bank closes in after 5 p.m. By 6 o'clock, I used to go in there, right before the tellers used to leave because I couldn't be in there when they left. I could only go in there after they set the alarm. And then after they left and set the alarm, I would go in there and do my thing. It only took like probably an hour to clean each location. And I did like two Chase Banks that were right down the street, about maybe a mile and a half apart from each other. And it took me maybe about 3 hours total. Now, with that job, it was about 6 days a week. And, like I said, this was 2018 to 2022, 2021. So back then, I was getting $10 an hour. So that was about a little over like about 500 to 600 a month because I used to stretch the hours out because it was based on mileage and time. So you really would have to do something similar to that. So like, let's say you had your shift from 2 to 10, you would just have to finesse them people and tell them, look, like, I got, stuff going on with my mom, she got this injury settlement. I have to, kind of be more available during the day. I've already done the second shift with y'all. So, really, if y'all could give me a day shift and work with me on that, I could probably do the little night right now, but if y'all can merge me into a day shift, y'all could just roll me into that, and then I'll do that 5 days a week because I can't really work in the evenings no more. I would just tell them something like that and finesse them that way. And then, like I said, the evenings had me something that I do for 2 or 3 more hours, like I was just telling you, like I did with the banks. I had did the banks. I did what else did I do? When I first started, I did the distribution center, the Pet Boys distribution center in Madonna. And Madonna is about, what the fuck? It's kind of slow snap over me. I did the Pep Boys distribution center in Madonna. When I first got started, that was one Saturday out of the week, and I had to go 4 Saturdays, I think, of the month. I didn't get paid shit for that job. That job paid like $220 a month. But that was my introduction into like commercial cleaning. It only had taken me like maybe 2 hours to do. I remember it was this older white lady that had ran the business, and she had an older black lady that did the cleaning. The lady name was Leslie. I remember she was the one that trained me. And I did that for about a month, and I got sick and tired of driving. And then I started cleaning. I had a government job after that. I remember, because like I said, I be on that Indeed and that Craigslist, so I would highly advise you. Oh shit, snakes. Yeah, I highly advise you to utilize that Craigslist and Indeed, because no matter what city you in America, I can show you. Like I said, I'll make a video showing you how to find all the little stuff like I used to get. Where, like I said, you could have your little day job and work that, and then have these little jobs in the evening, and that'd be enough money that you would need to handle your business, and you won't have to kill yourself working to where you're losing a bunch of sleep. Because, like, I'm telling you, bro, from the years of 2018 to 2021, like, y'all saw what I did. I made Death Trap Dungeon in them years. I made the Bonanza Bros reviews of that summer when that was when I was cleaning houses. Like I said, I went through all that, to kind of, show like how you could do this. And even if you're managing and helping your mom's finances and stuff, that little extra $600-700 a month help, in addition to your daytime job. And you won't kill yourself to make it. You're only cleaning, like I said, 2 or 3 hours in the evening. So if I were you, if I had a second cleaning job, I would only do something like that. I wouldn't do something while I'm working another 8 hours somewhere. Like fuck no. I always even told myself that when I work in the restaurant industry. Like if I'm gonna work 2 restaurant jobs, like then, yeah, they gonna have to be on separate days and goddamn, it's probably gonna have to be like maybe 5 hours at one and then 8 hours, a day at the other. But when I did that, I remember when I got out of college, I did that for a year. But after a year, I said I ain't doing this shit no more. I remember I told my first job I'm only gonna do this shit for 3 days a week, and I just left it at that. And eventually, I just slowly diminished the days down. But I got what I needed to get out of it because that's how y'all saw when I got my camera equipment, my little kayak equipment, and shit, everything that led to what I'm doing right now, pretty much. But I'll advise Alex, like, yeah, I would look on Indeed and Craigslist, and it don't matter what city you in America. I even seen these little jobs in Statesboro. Like, you could just look for little cleaning jobs where commercial facilities close in the evening time between, like I said, like 5 and 8 o'clock at night. Banks, government facilities, warehouses. So warehouses usually be 24/7. You go in there and do that whenever you want, but just essentially like little shit like that. And usually again there'll be like a cleaning company like Scorpio&Sebek cleaners. They're gonna put out an ad. They're gonna say, we're in need of somebody to show up clean between the hours of 5 p.m. and 6 a.m. the next morning whenever they open. That generally means they need you to have it done between 2 and 3 hours. And nowadays they pay more than what I was getting paid back then. You probably could get like an extra $1,000 a month. So I would look for like little jobs like that because those ain't gonna kill you. You don't have to be supervised by nobody. Like I said, when I used to do that bank, I used to be the only one there. I didn't see anybody during that time. Shit, I'll be in there listening to fucking the little music they would have playing and stuff and cleaning the bank. Like that shit was straight. Go after that, go to Kroger, go get me some groceries. Shit, go to the second bank and go home. And like I said, all that stuff was literally right down the street from where I lived at. So it was perfect. I would find me something just like that. It ain't like it gotta be too much, but it's just enough for you to do what you need to do. And then after that, just take your money and then invest in some type of skill. Like I said, in addition to you doing your art, whatever skill or whatever it is that that you could probably not mind doing, I say just get that and find a way to make some money with that. Because obviously you just need money out here to do stuff, but you gotta have a way to get it. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. When I did that cleaning shit, I ain't want to be around nobody. I ain't want to be around nobody. Like I said, every cleaning job I had, banks, the library, the warehouse. Yeah, I wasn't around nobody doing that shit. Except when I did the little thing at the Permanent Mall. But yeah, the banks, like I did the banks for 3 years. Like I said, that allowed me to make the game reviews that y'all saw between 2018 and 2020. It was because of that Chase Bank and Kimco Services. I thank God for them. I thank them Asians, to this day for that. So it's an Asian company. I think some Asians in Kimco. Oh, I like the stuff. Say Tuesday through Saturday, yeah. That's some hours right there. I mean, like I said, I say, take it, get it, take advantage of it and do it as much as you can, get as much as you want to get out of it. But I say honestly, Alex, man, once you get the money, whatever little extra money you have budgeted left over, just utilize that money towards something like that you can use that can monetize into something that you can control. That's why I have SNS cleaners. That's why I call myself Croctopus because I feel like I'm like this crocodile when it comes to like how hungry I could get, and how desirable I could get, and when it comes down to to strike and do what I need to do, like and just be instant to go and get this money. Like that's how I feel. I feel like I'm like this crocodile sitting in the water. You know, crocodile, it's not gonna just go after every little move that's on the shore. It's only gonna go after one kill and one thing. And you know, and that's why they get real big, because they go after a specific meal, you know. And that's how I feel like, you know, whatever specific thing that works for me, I stick to that, you know what I'm saying? And I'm the king of that pond. You know what I mean? So that's where I feel like that crocodile, but that octopus side is like, you know, an octopus has multiple arms, and you know, and if you've ever seen the pictures they've shown when they made and mocked people like Carnegie and Rockefeller and all those people that had those monopolies in the Gilded Age, like in the early 20th century and all that time, they always try to like paint pictures and portraits of them, showing them to look like be like these angry like octopuses that had their arms in oil and gold and steel, the steel industry, and then the automobile industry, and then the meat packing industry. So they looked at them like these octopuses that just had their arms in all these different industries. Like, you know, no matter what it is, like they got control of all these different things, and that's kind of how I imagine myself. So no matter if I'm on YouTube and I'm producing content, you know what I'm saying, in the digital world, and trying to make money off of this, which is I will be doing, because like I told y'all with that little series with the little dumb street Atlanta character I was telling y'all about, eventually I'm going to start like, you know, working on that sometime in the fall. So y'all will be seeing like that coming along. Cause it's funny, because I saw this dude named I know y'all remember that group, the Franchise Boys, the ones that had made that song, "Yep, in my white tee, yep, in my white tee." Like they one of the dudes that was in that group named Parlay, he got like a little web series that's kind of similar to what I'm talking about. You know, it's called in Departments, and the way that he do it is like it's like again like 20-minute episodes. I think he released the episodes like every Sunday, and shit. It looked like for the most part they got high production, so they got camera equipment and stuff. But shit, they right in the hood filming that shit. It ain't nobody really doing no real acting and all that. But I'm gonna kind of make mine a little bit more upgraded, but it's gonna be something similar. It's gonna be a little hood series kind of similar to that. But I'm gonna start working on that in addition to game reviews. You know, like I said, I'm gonna still keep this going. You know, because I know we talked about the Vice City stories, but like I said, that Vice City stories review, I got a bigger idea of how I want to do that now. Like now I'm gonna make that shit like some fucking Miami Vice shit, especially now that they coming out with GTA 6. I'm probably gonna have like a really bigger idea I do with that. So like y'all of course stay tuned for that. But you know, I got that side of what I do. You know what I'm saying? The production. Now whenever I can start producing this and it actually can start generating money to where, you know, it can change my life, that'd be awesome. You know, I mean, as y'all know, I've been doing this shit what since 2010. Like this motherfuckers on here that wasn't even born when I was making quarterback club, and they got YouTube careers and probably doing better than me. So I've been doing this shit for a very long time. But nevertheless, you know, like I said, I still love what I do. It's not like I gotta, you know, have money off of this shit. You know what I'm saying? Of course, that would, you know, that would be grateful to have. But since I don't have that, I'm not going to put all this pressure, you know, on my brand and on what I do to try to earn income off of this. That's why I'm gonna have my hands into something else. Because again, I'm a businessman. Like I ain't just an entertainer. You know, that's the difference. I feel like, you know, I can entertain, but I also need to have my business, you know, associated with my success as well. You know what I mean? Because shit, you need money out here. This shit. So, like I said, that's why I have other stuff going on, such as, you know, oh shit, hold on. Yeah, man, I'm trying to get my philosophy. You motherfuckers fuck up my, I want to fuck up my flow. Hold on. You trying to run away? Yeah, but shit, that's why I have multiple things going on. Cause like, obviously, in order for me to get to that point, especially like I said, me talking about being independent in 2026, shit, you're gonna have some money behind whatever you're doing. I don't give a damn who you are, how good at whatever it is you're doing, or how beneficial and impactful even what you're doing might be on the rest of the world. Like you still gotta have your own money behind whatever it is that you're doing out here, even if it's gonna benefit other motherfuckers later on, to where it'll even change their lives. You still gotta do your own thing behind this stuff. You know what I mean? So, and I've accepted that. You know, again, this is stuff I've accepted when I was your age. I was about 23, 24. Like, that's when I realized, like, this is gonna be your life, dude. So you better be prepared. You know, if you saying this is what you want to do. So, again, I accepted that. So I knew that, I was going to have other stuff going on. I knew I was going to have to do stuff I didn't want to do, like cleaning. And eventually, by the grace of God, I did that and thought to myself, well, I don't really, can't see myself doing that, for long. Like, I would rather do something that's a little easier. I know I'm smarter than, most of the people that are doing stuff that's making a little bit more money than me. So then I learned low maintenance stuff and, and I've started making more money doing that. And it's way easier than cleaning, you know what I'm saying? And really, it's honestly the next step above it. Did that, and like I said, by the grace of God, I was thinking earlier too. I feel you, man. That girl was in there looking like Betty Boop. Yeah, but just kind of elaborating on just like I said, this is just a little life advice, for anybody that would want to take it. You know what I mean? Like, I would just honestly suggest, like, again, like, whatever you're doing right now, just look to try to see what you could do that could be an advanced upgrade version of that. It ain't like even it's something you're gonna be doing forever. Because I'm not gonna be even doing maintenance too much longer. Pretty soon, like I was telling y'all, I'm gonna have a whole nother business. I'm gonna have a logistics business. So, like again, like I'll have that in addition to the SMS cleaners that y'all saw, in addition to me doing maintenance, in addition to me having the production stuff online, and I'm gonna have the logistics shit, and who knows what else is to come. But regardless, no matter what's going on, it's gonna be like I said, I'm gonna feel like this goddamn sale off Dragon Ball Z. Like shit, I'm gonna like saturate something to keep my shit going so that I can keep growing and growing and growing and growing and growing and not stopping at what I'm doing, you know. No matter if, like I said, if since I do want to do the production shit, I do, love film work. I do love like, the acting and making YouTube videos. I mean, y'all seen it. Like I said, I've been at this shit for 16 fucking years. Born on 17 years. It's like I said, it's motherfuckers that ain't even, wasn't even born when I did Quarterback Club, man. I don't even look the same. Like, I got gray hairs and shit now. I don't even look the same like when I made Quarterback Club. But yet, I'm still goddamn doing this shit. So, I don't know what it is, but I'm just insane enough to just keep going at it like that, I guess. But like I said, I'm not about to put all the pressure on this brand and on what I'm doing just to try to make this shit happen. Like, I'm gonna have other shit going on outside of YouTube that's funding this. If this shit has to do with real money, and I know in order for me to make real money in this society, you gotta go out here and do shit you really don't want to fucking do. You gotta deal with people you don't really want. Like I said, I've been having to do that my whole life. So me incorporating that into what I want to do, as my overall purpose in life, yeah, I would just have to mix those two together in order for that purpose to be fulfilled. And that's why I feel like right now, like I said, I may not live stream like that all the time. I may not even make the videos consistently like I say I'm going to make them, but I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be honest to y'all. Like, I be trying to make that shit better than what I know I've done before. And I know in order for me to do that, I have to be in the right mind state. You know what I'm saying? My life I'm not gonna lie, my life, it's been improving. Like all those years I was telling y'all, where I was trying to figure stuff out and struggle, I haven't really had that in a long time. I ain't even gonna lie, man. I mean, of course, I have times I don't have the money like I want to, but them years like 2018 and 19 and COVID and 2020, yeah, I haven't had to live like that in a long time. So, like I said, I'd be motivated to still make content, but I gotta admit, in order for me to do it the way I want to do it now, this shit gonna take a little bit more resources. So y'all just give it more time, shit, you know, I'll be able to keep this stuff going. Did I come out of here? Shit, how about y'all can do something? Oh, God damn it. What's the point of that? Shit hurting me. I was just had lost sight of all the live chat. I don't know what happened. Is it straight? Fuck. Oh, damn, I didn't have some poison. Fuck. I guess I sat there too long. Man. Yep, I still got plans, y'all. Like I said, just give me a little bit more time. And I gotta be honest too, man. This whole idea of like having your own spot and all that shit, it's like, man, it's cool and everything like that, but man, when you do this stuff, like you really gotta live with somebody that really is like doing the same thing you're doing. Like they have to have the same money you got. They gotta really be having the same motion you got. They gotta have the same type of transportation like you got transportation. It's just like a lot of little factors that go into like this shit. When you live with other people, man, that's just something I realize you're gonna go through out here in this day and era, because it ain't like like again, like 10 years ago, man. Like I was thinking earlier, like I remember in 2021 when me and my friend had went to, we were looking for apartments and stuff, and I remember we went to one neighborhood, a little low income neighborhood that's over in Clarkston, and I remember the apartments were going for like $700 a month at that time, and that was normal. And it was like, yeah, man, I was looking at that shit thinking like, damn, like shit, if you was somebody else over here, man, y'all wouldn't be paying nothing but like $400 a month. And it had reminded me of like when I had got my first apartment in Decatur, it was 800 and something dollars a month. And I'm like, that was normal. But man, I remember that next year after 2021, that same apartment was fucking $1,300, and I'm like, this shit was in the hood. I knew, man. I was like, yeah, this whole shit out here about to change, bro. Like, ain't nothing out here about to be the same anymore. So, like renting and doing all that, it's like, I'm just reevaluating a lot of this stuff. I'm like, I gotta make sure, like I was telling y'all earlier, that I got that position I had back when I first had started live streaming. In 2022, man. Like I said, I was live streaming almost every day, and the reason being is because I didn't really have to physically be involved to make my money. You know what I'm saying? It's a difference, like when you don't have to be physically involved. You can sit around and think of more stuff and make more money actually. Dang, what the hell? You gotta always physically be involved. Like, man, you kind of limit the amount of money you can make based on the amount of time that you have to spend making it. So I just feel like now Oh shit. I just feel like now, man, my number one priority is to get back in that position where I can make passive income again. Where I ain't got to be, physically involved to make my money. You know, I ain't gonna lie, when you make money passively, that shit is like a drug. Oh man, Copper Pit Bull, man, I appreciate that, man. Actually, I haven't seen that yet. It's very interesting you bring that up because I've seen little trailers and stuff, and I don't know, maybe I have to download it one day, but no, I haven't seen it yet, but I do want to see it though. That's one of my favorite movies. The original one with I think that guy was Art, the European guy, and I remember Vanessa Williams was in it. That actually was one of my favorite movies growing up. But I definitely want to plan on seeing it. I mean, if they do the movie, they're gonna have to show the uh the battle the battle with the Trojan horse. They would have to show all that before the journey actually begins. But I did like how yeah, they did that in the original. They because I remember seeing the original. Man, like, y'all taking me back. I think I remember seeing that on like UPN, like back in the day. That was a long fucking time ago. But I remember, yeah, they had it in the original because I got it here on DVD. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, they had it where they started out. They had the battle, the Trojan War. They went on the island and they tried to go back home and they got lost and then it started from there. Then it went to when all these men pretty much had died after they went to the island of Calypsis and then yeah, and then Odysseus was the only one left, and then he drifted back to Ithaca. And then when he got back, that his son didn't believe he was who he was. His wife they didn't believe him until he had used the archer bow and had shot the thing. And then that's when he killed all those guys and got him out of his palace and stuff and proved that, that's who he was. But yeah, I'm not sure how they're gonna do that movie, but if they use that concept in that same like theme of what the original movie, I can't even say I don't even know if the original one was a movie or if it was like a TV series. I can't really remember because for some reason I remember it being like in different like parts. You know what I'm saying? The way the DVD is like it's just like kind of in two parts. But for some reason I remember watching it back in the day. It was in different parts. So I don't remember if it was like a little mini series they did or if it was an actual movie. But it was fun though. Yeah, but I love the Odyssey though. That was always one of my favorite movies. So to see they remade that, it's pretty cool. I just think it's ironic they did that because I've been using that concept of the Odyssey and all that for years. So for them to actually make the movie, it's kind of crazy. And speaking of movies, it's actually this DVD burner that I had got that I downloaded. I need to probably get the actual version of it so that it can remove the little watermark trailer thing that's on there. But I actually got a DVD ripper, and the movie I was telling y'all about that I want us to like kind of review in the stream. I actually ripped it and put it on my computer. So probably the next time I stream, maybe sometime this weekend or the next week sometime, we probably could do a whole review on the movie. So y'all can give me y'all's opinion on it, and we can just kind of review it together because it was a pretty cool movie, very good movie. Oh wow, they did. Oh yeah, if it's got that, I gotta see that. Then I gotta see that. The original one was really colorful and kind of silly the way they had made it in the plot. because a lot of movies and in web series, not web series, but on mini series and stuff in the '90s, just kind of had that kind of goofy little theme to it. But it seemed like this version of the Odyssey is a little bit more dark, you know. So it's gonna be pretty cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check it out for sure. Y'all never really got that side of me of like the movie, like angry movie reviewer guy. Like y'all never really got that side. I never really been like the angry movie reviewer guy like that. With some movies, I just always some movies that a lot of people like I thought were dumb, and a lot of movies people thought were dumb I actually like. So I think that that was like kind of my thing with movies. But I always steered away from trying to review movies because of copyright reasons. I always try to, but because when I do it, I want to actually show what I'm talking about in the scene. And of course, the minute you do that, it's over with on YouTube, especially now. So I kind of always stayed away from that with movies. I think I mentioned that in the stream before. But I can sit here and review the Odyssey and all the movies. Like I said, I got all of them right here, man, in front of me. Like these movies I grew up with. So I can sit here and break these shits down all day. Oh wow, that's pretty cool. Shit, it sound like this. Except the PTSD part. To be honest, that's kind of like what I imagined it to be like. I'm like, you got to think about it. If this man just went on this war, you know, you thinking that you about to just go on this war and come back home to your wife and everything is about to be normal. You know, y'all go on the war. Everything goes the way it goes. Then you try to make it back and y'all, get lost. All of your men die on the way back, and then you end up alone, and then now you forget, really what the whole purpose of the journey was. It really didn't even have nothing to do with the war. I mean, the whole purpose was for Odysseus to really find himself again, because he didn't. He really the whole time, didn't understand his role like that until the end. When all his men were gone, and then he had to go back and and restore his position. Like, yeah, that whole concept of that movie was pretty cool. So yeah, if they were to redo that with him being like psychologically fucked, in addition to all that, like then, yeah, that was something pretty goddamn cool. You ever seen the original Odyssey, Alex? We had to watch that shit when I was in school, like every year. I remember. That's why I remember seeing it. It's some '90s kid shit right there. Yeah, this game was pretty cool. I didn't grow up playing this game. Like I said, I remember my first encounter with this game actually was on one day. Me and Everyday Struggle were in this classic video game store, and I saw it. And when I saw it, I just knew it was gonna make a good game review, and that was my first time playing it. But I do remember, I was obsessed with this movie when it first came out. This and The Mummy. These were my favorite movies at that time. And I remember when The Mummy Returns had came out, they had showed the trailer that of the Scorpion Kids, because I think in The Mummy Returns the Rock had became like that ugly like scorpion thing. But I remember they were showing like the trailer for the Scorpion King movie, so we knew it was gonna come out, and then I remember it came out I think like a year or two later, and I remember that's when they had that fine Persian woman that he was fucking in the movie. And I remember, yeah, when this came out, they were. I remember the commercials for this game on GameCube, but again, I was so poor at the time. I didn't have a PS2 or a GameCube, so I wasn't really like concerned about it. So I used to just watch the movie all the time. I remember, but I do remember this game though, but never played it until and then just completely had forgotten about it. And then when I saw it in that game store that day, I knew it was going to make a good game review, so just grabbed it. And see, here we are, what, 13, 14 years later. Yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna lie. If you were to watch it now, you'd probably be like, "What the hell is this silly shit?" But Odyssey, those old, uh, what you would call it, like British tales, and like what's it, Beowulf, and uh, like those little stories like that. We always had to read shit like that, like growing up. And I remember, at the time, on like TV shows like PBS and UPN, because that's when they came out with Xena, Warrior Princess. They were making like a lot of shows like that. I guess kind of like reminiscing like Greek tragedies and stories like that. And in the '90s, like they just kind of had did it a little better than the stuff they had done back in like the '30s and the '50s and stuff. They didn't really make those kind of movies in the '60s and '70s and '80s like that, except for Indiana Jones. But in the '90s, it's almost like they were starting to remake those kind of movies, and that's just kind of like, I guess, like if you were born in like the early '90s, you just grew up watching those TV shows and reading those books. It was just normal. I don't know anybody that's like around like my age that did not have to watch those movies. I remember Odyssey, Iliad. Um, like I said, show we had to watch that stuff. But I remember, yeah, like they used to show that movie all the time, the Odyssey. We used to have to watch that movie in school. I remember, but besides watching it in school, I used to watch it personally on UPN because I used to like it myself. It was crazy because a lot of stuff I remember that like we had to watch as assignments in school. That was stuff that I actually used to personally like. Like I remember it to this day. It's a French Revolution documentary I got that they made on the History Channel years ago. And to this day, I remember my world history teacher had made us watch it in class, and I hadn't seen it. I remember in years at the time, but he still had like a copy of it, and I remember that guy had made me a copy of that DVD, and I still got it to this day. It's almost 20 years later, and yeah, I remember that it was this French Revolution documentary. Oh, shit. Okay. Oh, no, no, no! I hadn't seen it yet. We were just talking about that. That was Copper Pit Boy was just asking me. Now I'm gonna have to go watch it pretty soon. Because I had to see the first one. Like that's one of my favorite movies. So yeah, I more than likely enjoyed this one. It would be pretty cool if they made an Odyssey video game. I mean, even though they've done that pretty much with this and other games, but if it was specifically like done and maybe released on PlayStation 6 or whatever, that shit would be pretty cool. I mean, they may do that, I mean, they already, took my idea and remade the movie. Like I said, I don't know anybody that was talking about the Odyssey. Y'all know for years I was always using that term of like, going on the Odyssey. And it was always because of that movie and, that story. Because again, like I said, I grew up with that. So for them to remake that movie and now all of a sudden they have merchandise and all that, if that nostalgia is just there like that, then maybe it's something I'm on to. Have y'all seen well, I'm not sure if anybody's seen it, but have y'all seen like the trailers of it and stuff? Because again, I don't even watch TV, so I didn't even know they were making a new Odyssey movie till one day I went to my mom's house. And she was watching TV and I saw a commercial about it. And I was like, oh shit, he was making the Odyssey? Hmm. Oh man, I guess I guess if people were expecting action, and not a whole bunch of. But I would like to see it more from a psychological perspective. But again, like nowadays, ain't no telling. I bet it was an expensive movie to make. I'm sure of that. Because but then again, shit, everything is all CGI and green screen. So I would think they would probably have ways to do that stuff cheaper now than before. Y'all know what I'm still mad about, man? I'm still mad about that Resident Evil file I have, man. I wanted to actually refinish that game because what was I doing? I think I was on Krauser. Yeah, that shit was annoying as hell. I saw how to beat him. I was supposed to use a knife. I just don't want to re-go through that file again. That's gonna take too long. Oh, they did. Oh, so they. Yeah, that's the reason it happened. Hmm. Hmm. So how do the gods communicate with Odysseus then? I mean, because I did like the way they did it in the original. I like how they also use those natural settings. I don't know where they were. They were somewhere in Europe, I believe, the Mediterranean, I believe. I like how they use those natural background settings for the film as well. So hopefully they kept that aspect of it. I think it was pretty cool. I mean, me personally with Mortal Kombat, since they had that transition to NetherRealm Studios, it's not the same, you know, as of course, what I grew up playing, with the combos and I don't know, like it just was funner back then, when Ed Boon and John Tobias were together and all those programmers were all involved in it. Now it's like it's so many other factors that's involved in it now. Like I don't know, like Mortal Kombat is just it ain't got that same element that it had, like and that same sauce that it had back in the '90s. Like that shit back then was fun, man. I'm gonna be honest. Even though the games didn't look like them, none of the characters look like paper, shape figures and stuff like that with just 3D rendered features to them. But I gotta admit, them games were just fun. I don't know, like the Mortal Kombat 8 games now, it just don't have that same feel to me. And it's not because I'm older. I just don't. Like I said, they've done all they could possibly do with it. I mean, how many eyes can you really gorge out? How many times can you really blow somebody apart? How gruesome can it look? You know what I mean? It's like, well, how much further are they really gonna go with it at this point? And so I just think they need to make a different element to Mortal Kombat. You know what they really need to do? They need to make it more like how Armageddon was, where they got like a conquest mode that you could play in every game for like every different character. I think if they had that alongside with the combat mode thing, I think that would just make it different. Because I mean they've done it all they could possibly do with it. I feel like. Oh hell no! Oh yeah, that sucks. Yeah, well that means it ain't the same. It was far how he was communicating with all those different gods. It wasn't just a thing. It was Hermes. Um, can't remember the other ones right now off the top of my head. No, maybe the '90s was just the peak of all civilization. We just weren't gonna get. Oh fuck, motherfucker! I'm trying to read these messages. Yeah, they do. Each third game, yeah, they really do. Yeah, the timeline is a bit confusing. I don't even really know the story of Mortal Kombat anymore. I only just followed alongside the videos you basically have when you chronologize the timeline of it. But besides that, yeah, Mortal Kombat doesn't have a narrow timeline as far as what happened from point A to point B. But yeah, you're right. They changed it so much. To me, the recent Mortal Kombat games kind of resembled the movie, in my opinion. Not the recent movie, but the one that came out back in the day. Like, that's kind of how it resembled to me. But in the movie, it didn't really even have nothing to do with how the game was. In my opinion, it's just how they probably imagined things were. Shao Kahn's father. I don't remember any images or any of that of him in Mortal Kombat 2. And I had to look at one of your videos again, like on one of your backstories with on Shao Kahn, because I don't remember too much that they said in the game as far as like the backstory on his father. I do remember them mentioning him though. Yeah, it pretty much is. Yeah, you're right about that. But I was a little disappointed in the movie. I did see that, not the second one, but the first one. I mean, if the first one wasn't really all that good, the second one, I don't know. I just like the way they did the first one. How the acting was, like, rest in peace to the guy that played that boy Shane Sean. The way he talked, like, it just it reminded you of like how the game was, that you will fail. Like, I just remember all that, man. It was, I just like the way how he just used to taunt Liu Kang. And boy Shao Kahn, you're still trying to win. He's just a general, yeah. See, and then they did, and that's another thing I don't like. Like, they made Shao Kahn not seem as powerful as he, like, bruh, in the '90s, growing up. That man Shao Kahn seemed like the most powerful person in Mortal Kombat. Like, when he first was introduced, that dude seemed like the top. Like there was nobody above him. Like, there was never going to be like anybody more powerful than him. You know. Shane Shun didn't feel like he had that much power, but when they introduced Shao Kahn, yeah, bro felt like if you fighting him after Kentaro, I mean, come on, like that go to show like this dude's like the most powerful being ever. You know what I'm saying? And now they got him looking like he's just like some general. In some cases, like he looking like this fool. Like, yeah, I don't really like how they did him like that. You know, they kind of diminished his character. They don't make him seem as scary no more. I know one thing, man. When we used to go in that arcade machine, and that boy would be in there, you're still trying to win, laughing at your ass. You know what I'm saying? Telling you suck. Like, man, you know how many people that boy made Shell Con made cry back then? He just ain't got that same feel now. He ain't got that same feel. Ah, okay, I see. Probably. But even the way they've done him in other games, like, with Onaga, kicking his ass, and just just have him having to team up with Shane Shung and all that different stuff, it still made his character just feel like weaker. You know, you would think Shao Kahn don't have to team up with nobody. This place is like a maze. So is there a map in this thing? Trying to see where I'm supposed to go. I can go in a circle. Yeah, that's one thing about like I guess a series, like especially if they want to keep it going and they want to tell backstories and stuff like that. Yeah, I guess in a sense it has to make it yeah, like I just can't see that. I can't see Shao Kahn having to deceive. I can't see Shao Kahn having to plot. I ain't gonna lie, man. When I was growing up, the way he treated motherfuckers in the arcade, I just always saw Shao Kahn as like this powerful being that as soon as he did that shoulder blade attack, as soon as he did that knee attack, as soon as he threw that spear, like yeah, like he's knocking heads off like left and right, like what I'm saying, ain't no getting up after that. Ain't no him having to team up with some other being. None of that. It don't matter if it's Goro or Naga, whoever. Like he knocking everything out of sight. That's just how I always imagine him. I'm not even gonna lie. So the fact that he gotta poison him and it's like, yeah, I think they should have just left Shao Kahn's character like as like this emperor, this almighty being that just can't be defeated. Like I think they really should have left him like that. I swear that's all he did on the video game. They should have just left it like that. Laughing at motherfuckers, knocking heads off. That's how they need to make them now. Like they need to make video games now to where the characters in the game are taunting the players like they used to. Like how when you'll be playing Streets of Rage, Mr. X will be like while you sitting there trying to wait for the continues to go and shit, Mr. X will be sitting there laughing at your ass. You know they need to make video games like that again. Make you really want to kick their ass. Yeah, you're right about that. I think in a lot of just creators' minds, they try to like. I think when they come up with stuff like that, they try not to make a character too powerful. I guess to try to keep the story more intriguing to people. But I don't know. I think in some cases it's better when somebody almost seems impossible to stop. Because in real life, that's how I feel. Like, that's how I feel. I know damn well when you trying to fight these bills and you trying to go up in society and fight this elite, establishment out here. They feel like how Shell Khan felt in the arcades and how Goro felt. You know what I mean? They feel like you fighting the way you fight this whole thing is like you got one continue. You know what I'm saying? Two quarters left. You know what I'm saying? And only like one character to choose from. Like that's how this thing feel in real life. So shit, why not make the character like that in a fictional story? Because in real life, it's shit. It seemed like that. The way this society keep or the way these elite corporations keep knocking people out left and right. They seem like damn Goro and Shell Khan on the damn video game. This place is amazing. That's where I came in. Yeah, I remember. I remember that. I just feel like that, only Liu Kang can. Shao Kahn. That's just how I always felt. It seemed like the way the plot goes in that Mortal Kombat universe is only Liu Kang can defeat him. Nobody else can defeat him. There's a guy, yeah, I remember seeing that. As much shit as he went through, hell, he should be one. I just like that concept though, like like two characters like always going against each other, and it seemed like the only way that one character can be defeated is if it's only like that one other character is involved. Kind of like with Michael Myers, it's like Michael Myers couldn't be defeated unless Dr. Loomis, saying went around and said, "Michael, you must stop what you're doing, Michael." That would be the only time that Michael would stop. Or remember when Michael, whenever I think who was it, Jason, whenever he would hear like his mom's voice, like Jason be slicing everybody head off and head into pieces in the movie. As soon as he hears mom's voice, Jason, Jason, is that you, Jason? And then all of a sudden he would like just stop. Like that would be the only thing that could calm him down. I just like when movies be or series be like that. It just seems like this juggernaut, but like this one little thing that just don't seem as big of a threat can defeat it. Because that's kind of how it seems in real life. The most um unsuspected thing that you could think of be the thing that actually would be the one that could defeat this big juggernaut, that everybody else think they gotta go, head on with. You thinking you gotta go head on with it and everybody get knocked out left and right. But it's another way you can defeat it. It made me think about the Johnny Cage and Goro thing. I mean, my brother, my boy Blackbeard Mirage, like he like to use this concept all the time. But I know y'all remember in Mortal Kombat 1 that scene when Goro, when all the fighters were entering the tournament and then they had to fight Goro. And I think it was that scene when they were outside and it was just a close up shot of all these bodies just dropping on the floor and niggas was just battered and bruised up from Goro just knocking niggas out left and right, left and right, left and right. It's like shit, couldn't nobody defeat him the entire movie. As soon as Johnny Cage fought him, everybody thinking that Johnny Cage gonna try to fight him head up, like he gonna be, going against him like he this big brute, but Johnny Cage outsmarted him and got him to run up all the way to the top of that hill and then fought him that way and then tripped him up and then made him fall over the ledge. It was like Johnny Cage beat him in the most unexpected way. But it was like Johnny Cage couldn't win like that, obviously fighting him head up. So I just like when it be like little concepts like that to show how somebody, that's like this Goliath can be defeated by these little minuscule ways. Because in real life, like going head up, like you're not going to defeat. Like it don't seem like somebody like Shao Kahn, like you're going to defeat him just going head up. Like you got to do something to trick him, or you got to, like I said, pull a Dr. Loomis or some shit like that to defeat him. Like if he could just be knocked out and killed and slayed, like nah, like that don't really make him seem like this almighty character, That boy Johnny Cage said, "This is the part where you fall. Those were $500 sunglasses, you asshole." Boy Johnny Cage. I love that movie, man. That's what, like I said, that shit they make now, man. It ain't the same. It don't have that same feeling like the stuff back then, man. People can have their opinions, but that shit just didn't feel the same. Johnny Cage in the movie, that scene when he was fighting those guys, because I think they were trying to make him like Jean-Claude Van Damme. And I remember that scene. Where do you get these guys? Yeah, Johnny Cage, that was my boy. Yeah, I mean, because that's how it's supposed to be. I like the way they had it, like I said in the original movie, like how it was that concept of Sonya going after Kano. Sonya and Jax got man, that shit was fire. Cause see, it's like how look how they created like those games off of that. It was like the Mortal Kombat sub world allowed, like even how those characters had their own beefs against each other. That even created its own games. Like literally, Sonya and Jax going after Kano. That created special forces. Blue Kang, I mean, Sub Zero trying to basically run away from Scorpion. That created Sub Zero mythologists. You know, saying Liu Kang going after Shang Tsung and then having to, redeem the world again against Shao Kahn. That's basically Mortal Kombat. You know what I mean? And then the plot with Goro and then Johnny Cage, like it was just perfect because it's like again, like Johnny Cage is this unexpected, fighter, this guy who's just thinking, this thing is a movie and, he don't even really know what the hell is going on. But, you got this real juggernaut who's been knocking people out for like thousands of years and destroying people and stuff. And this movie actor ends up defeating him in the most unexpected way. Like, yeah, it was perfect. But it was fucked up though in Annihilation when Johnny Cage had got killed by Shao Kahn. I remember back in the day I didn't like how they killed him off like that. What you think about that? Well, what everybody think about that? Because as a kid I didn't really like that. When I seen an adult when he's dead. I always wondered that same thing. Yeah, even Raiden and Shao Kahn had a beef, but which made sense because Raiden was the elder god, and Shao Kahn had been, conquering the Earth realm for some years, so it would make sense that Raiden would have like his own beef with him because, he was trying to basically form a group of people that would fight against Shao Kahn. I like how it was that concept like that where Raiden couldn't fight him because he, is an elder god. He had to have somebody of the earth realm that was innocent and that didn't really know that much about all that to defeat him. I like that concept because Liu Kang just seemed real innocent, gullible, but full of eager though. Like that's how I always had seen his character. Yeah, they did Mortal Kombat the movie perfectly to me. I'm not gonna lie. It had the same elements of all those old Chinese films that we gonna review. Like I was telling Alex, support gaming. Eventually, in the streams, maybe the next one we're gonna watch some of these old school Chinese movies that I got that they actually got the concept of Mortal Kombat from. Cause see, they say they was from Kiss of the Kiss of what was that game? The movie Bruce Lee was in. That one, the Kiss of Death of the tournament. They said they kind of got it from that, and then what I forgot the other movie that they said they got it from. But those movies right there were influenced by some of the movies that I've seen from all these other producers over in China, and I got a bunch of them on this collection. So they were making a bunch of those movies back in the 70s and 80s, and really all those movies culminated into what Mortal Kombat really became, and it would be pretty interesting for us to see some of those. It's really a lot of those movies that I got right here. They kind of were the influence of all the video games I played growing up in the 80s, from the 80s and 90s. So, but these are movies I didn't see until I was an adult. I knew Wish Kung Lao was in the movies. Yeah, everybody didn't like Annihilation. I remember I went and saw it in theaters when it came out. As a kid, I'm not gonna lie, I just was happy to see it because it was a new Mortal Kombat movie. But I remember when I saw it, I thought, I just thought at the time it wasn't as good as the first one. But now, looking back on it, yeah, plot wise, it kind of was, following away from like, what was going on in the first movie. But it seemed like they had to kind of focus more so on the action scenes and in the fighting scenes because that's what a lot of kids at that time wanted to see. So they kind of were going based on that because they had to sell the movie. At the end of the day, that movie probably costed millions of dollars to make, so they were trying to make millions back. So they had to just do basically what was going to sell the movie at the time. And the first one had a couple of fight scenes because that's what everybody wanted to see Mortal Kombat 4 was the fight scenes. So they had to, to up the ante that for the second one and all. It just kind of was a little silly, but it did have its good writing. I felt like good writing elements as the first one did. The first one just had much better writing elements. But they never had Kung Lao. Like they only had him briefly in the first one, wasn't it? Like when his ghost had showed up, if I can remember right. When he was like, at the beginning, Shane Stone was like, "You will be next." And he was like, "No, your soul is mine." Like I remember that part. That was in the beginning, and Liu Kang was in that dream. And when he snapped his neck, that's when Liu Kang snapped out of the dream. Man, that was some 90s shit. Like, it started to bring back some memories. That made me want to watch that movie right now. I wish we could watch it on stream. They would fucking copyright my ass. I just remember the soundtrack for that movie was hard as fuck. Soundtrack for that movie was too hard, man. Yeah, Mortal Kombat back in the 90s, man, that was an exciting movie back then, man. That Mortal Kombat was big in the 90s, man. It really, really was. Like, that was all I remember caring about back then. That was literally all I remember caring about from like 1995 to like 1998. Mortal Kombat, everything. Like, that's all my brother used to worry about. Oh yeah, the tattoos. Yeah, I didn't get that. I didn't get that. I thought again like that was just some stupid stuff they added, as a plot in the movie. But yeah, I didn't get that either. I was like, what's the point of the tattoo shit? Again, like I said, I didn't try to think, like, well, they got to make the movie exactly like the game because obviously it's cinema, like I said. But what was most important, I would be honest, that they had to have in Mortal Kombat, they had to have those fighting scenes because I remember back then, that's the main reason everybody wanted to see that movie was for those fighting scenes. I'll never forget again the scene when he fought Sub-Zero. And I remember when he threw the ice bucket, and the ice bucket had went from water and it solidified, and it had stabbed him. That scene was hard. But I think out of all of them in Mortal Kombat 1, my favorite scene was when Liu Kang had fought Reptile. I don't know about anybody else, but that scene, I just never forget that because I remember that dead body was there and it had all them worms and stuff. And Johnny Cage was like, Luke, are you okay? And then he had just grabbed the guy and then threw him, and then all of a sudden he had turned from that little creature. Then he had had formulated to a human form, and then they had said Reptile's name. They started fighting. That scene was hard as fuck, man. I ain't gonna lie, that was one of my favorite scenes, even to this day. I remember I was watching that shit the other day. I remember me and my brother had probably broke like three of my mom's vases. I remember downstairs we were fighting each other and shit like that. I was Scorpion, he was Sub-Zero. We probably broke like three vases. I remember when we would be downstairs watching that movie, man. Like, god damn, boy, you started to bring back some memories now. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I ain't like that. Yeah, I thought in the Annihilation they just were just trying to throw in as many characters as possible in that movie that we had known in the video game. But Rain was unnecessary in that movie. I thought Nightwolf was unnecessary in that movie. I kind of thought Jade was unnecessary in that movie. I didn't like the way that she was portrayed. And then I thought, and I'm not even gonna lie to you, bro. Even in the '90s, I thought that I'm like in the game. Shit, Jade is black. Why the hell is she an Asian bitch in the movie? How the hell she go from black to being Asian? I was always confused about that part. And then but I didn't like that with Rain. And if I remember, Ermac was in it too. But yeah, they didn't even have any fighting scenes. So it was like, what was the point of them being in it? With Mataro fought Jax. Now I'm not gonna lie, in Annihilation, I always loved that scene when Liu Kang and Shane Sun fought. Everybody thought it was cheesy and corny when Liu Kang had turned into the dragon and Shane and Shao Kahn had turned into that whatever that dragon thing was, and they had fought into little CGI, and then they both had came back to human form because Shao Kahn's dad was saying that they couldn't use those powers and they had to basically fight as mortals. I'm not gonna lie, that was one of my favorite scenes in Mortal Kombat 2. Like that when him and Liu Kang had fought in that final form. Yeah, like that one. Yeah, like I said, that one and like I said, in Mortal Kombat 1, when Liu Kang fought Reptile, and then I'm gonna be honest too, bro. Like when Sonya Blade had fought Melina, was that in Mortal Kombat 2 or 1? Yeah, when Sonya had fought Melina and they had that mud fight, they had to throw like some sexy shit like that in there. That was also one of my favorite ones too. Yeah, that was one of my favorite ones. And then when Sub Zero had fought on Liu Kang in Mortal Kombat Annihilation when they were in that little sub that pit, and then of course the one when Scorpion had fought on Johnny Cage. I can't forget that. That was on the movie cover. Yeah, that movie was fun, man. They did a good job with that movie, man. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm not even gonna lie. People could say it was cheesy and all that, but we got to look back on it 30 years later. Like we were blessed to have that. Like we really were. They made Melina black, but the second film, Katana is Asian. I could see Katana being Asian, but yeah, if that's her sister. Melina's her sister. How can she be black? Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking with that. But I just remember growing up in the 90s though. I'm like Jade was in Mortal Kombat 3. I'm like she's as black as, saying she in that bitch looking like Oprah Winfrey. Like how the hell she go from that to looking like Lucy Liu in the movie? Like I was confused about that shit. Right. Yeah. It was an annihilation. Yeah, I couldn't remember if that was Mortal Kombat 1. It was annihilation. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, the scene too when Jax had fought Cyrax, I always thought that was pretty cool when they were inside that hospital. I thought that scene was pretty cool. Yeah, that movie just had a lot of 90s nostalgia to it, man. That movie came out, I remember, I think I was in first grade. Yeah. I was in first grade when that movie came out. I was too young to even go to the movie theaters and see it because I know it was PG-13. But we went and saw that in theaters. I remember right when it came out. I remember we was happy as hell to see that shit. Right. Yeah, that don't even make sense. I guess they were trying to be socially adjustable. But that didn't really make sense to me though. In today's movies, I could definitely see why they would do it. Huh. Camera gonna catch every goddamn thing, but it's gonna catch me dropping my weed. Like, yeah, I really don't understand though. Yeah. Would y'all say that Mortal Kombat is no, not that's what I was gonna say, not Mortal Kombat, but Street Fighter. Aren't they trying to make a new Street Fighter movie as well, or did they already make one? I heard something about 50 Cent supposed to be in it. I never really liked Street Fighter like that, believe it or not. I never was a big Street Fighter fan. I could never really get used to its controls like that. It was a fun game. I mean, but I always preferred Mortal Kombat over Street Fighter. Always. Yeah, they still in production. Oh, okay. Yeah, I had heard this. They were making one. And it was supposed to have 50 Cent and M Bison and some shit like that. Or have that motherfucker on strings. His damn swole ass muscles gonna be all caught walking, flying through the air on strings and shit. That shit gonna be funny as hell. That's how they made the dude in the '95 Street Fighter. And they had John Claude Van Damme. Right. You would think with all the movies that everybody would be Japanese and Chinese because they make it seem like it's all, Japanese and Chinese influenced, which is kind of somewhat true. Because it ain't like nobody over here practicing martial arts. People over here too damn lazy. But like literally all the movies from the '80s and '70s back then were either martial arts based or ninja based. In the '80s, they were more ninja based. That a lot of Chinese film producers were making, and in the '70s, they were more martial arts based. In the '80s, it became more like ninja and government, CIA related crime stories and stuff like that, mixed with like ninja and martial arts, which I thought was pretty cool. They were low quality films, but the concepts and the writing they had, and you could see in the dialogue they were trying to, they were trying to make it a good film. Oh, Balrog. Okay, yeah, I thought he was supposed to be M Bison. Yeah, all I could do is just see him, looking like this swole gorilla on strings, and a bunch of white people, making him fly through the air. For some reason, that's all I'm seeing right now as they making that goddamn movie. I mean, of course, it's gonna look all beautiful and stormy, and it's green screen and special effects and stuff flying around. But right now, I mean, and with me, of course, as us being content creators, we know how that shit really looks, behind the scene. All I can really see is his big gorilla ass, cock diesel swole ass arms. They gotta hoist this man up on like a million damn strings, and they probably flying his ass through the motherfucking air right now, and a bunch of cameras and a green screen around, and like a million lights. Like I literally just see that shit right now for some reason. That shit probably is funny as hell. They got his big gorilla. Shit would be funny as hell, bro. I don't know why, but I always thought Street Fighter was just kind of silly for some reason. Like, I mean, y'all can crucify me if y'all want, man, but I don't know. I know my boy I am Richard Kane. He probably got off of here, because we old now. They done probably been hit the damn bed. Hello. Hey, what's on there? Yeah. Oh no, no, I'm good. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, but I just always thought Street Fighter was just kind of silly for some reason. And the funny thing is, it came out before Mortal Kombat, but I don't know. It just seemed like when Mortal Kombat came out, that shit just it just kind of took the idea of Street Fighter over. And I love Street Fighter. I mean, not Street Fighter, but Tekken at least, like the style of Tekken. Again, I like Street Fighter, like the concept of it, but the game itself, I just could never really get into the controls. And maybe because I never played it growing up in the arcades. The first time I played it was the Sega Genesis version of Street Fighter 2. And I just couldn't really get into it like that back then. You know, everybody used to praise that game, but I just could not get into it. I instantly was in Mortal Kombat though. I'm not gonna lie, I was an instant Mortal, like literally support gaming. Like I said, that's why your channel is one of my favorite channels. You and Alex, you know what I mean. But I love like I said, Mortal Kombat. Literally, whenever I think of my childhood, I think of like whenever I think of like memories, even when I look at like pictures, of my childhood, I be seeing like pictures of like Mortal Kombat memorabilia in the background, because that's literally wrestling, like Mortal Kombat. That's what me and my brother, we literally like lived by that shit. I'm talking about I would watch Mortal Kombat 1, the movie, like 10 times a day. The Mortal Kombat tape, I remember, I think I showed y'all in the stream before, when the little animated series, when they had the little goofy flipping in animation they had did, when Liu Kang was like he doing all that silly shit. I know y'all have seen that a support game. I think I've seen clips that you shown of it, but I know y'all have seen that old animated Mortal Kombat series. We had that shit when it came out. I remember me and my brother used to watch that shit a million times, and I don't even think they ever made any more episodes of that shit. I think they made like one episode and then that was it. But as long as it was Mortal Kombat related, man, we didn't give a damn. Like we used to watch the hell out of that shit. That was what culminated my childhood, like Mortal Kombat. From like that, every time I think about the '90s, I think about that game. Yeah, hold up real quick. Shut up, weird song using shit. Defenders of the Realm. You got canceled at the Mercy. Did they make more than one episode? Because the little tape that I had, I just remember that episode, and then that was it. And then in the end, I remember they were supposed to start fighting all these Baraka minions, and they were kicking their ass. And eventually, Shang Tsung showed up, and the tournament was supposed to start. From what I remember, all you know how I always remember that little that animated series. Because remember they had the one Goro, they had a chocolate Goro and it was like a vanilla Goro. And as a kid, whenever I used to see that shit, I used to get hungry because they always looked like those animal crackers. And I remember I used to eat those. Remember the chocolate animal crackers and the teddy bear crackers? They used to have like a chocolate kind. Then they had the white animal crackers, like the ones that were like elephants and giraffe. They used to have like a chocolate and a vanilla. And for some reason, whenever I used to look at that shit as kids, it always made me think about them goddamn animal crackers. So I used to get hungry. But I remember in that Defenders of the Realm, in one scene, I remember they had like a chocolate Goro. They had 13 episodes. What? You know what? You're right. They did have 13 episodes because I do remember they did have more, but I didn't have them on tape. I remember watching them on Saturdays. They used to show on. I think it was on Fox. I want to say they used to show those episodes on Saturdays, but I remember it wasn't that long. Yeah, you're right. It did. It had like 13 episodes, and then they canceled it. I'm gonna have to rewatch those episodes because I don't remember all of them. Yeah, it was hilarious. I just remember Johnny Cage, looking silly, and Luke Kane fighting, and they were looking silly. Like I said, I just remember those Baracas dancing around when they were fighting them and stuff. And I just remember again like that chocolate Goro and that vanilla Goro. Because whenever I used to see them, I used to always think about animal crackers. And as I think about them, 30 years later, that's what comes to mind. Damn, you took me back like that. That just took me back to 1987. Shit, it's fucking 30 years ago. You're right. Yeah. Right, 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 right. You're right. Have you ever mentioned him in one of your videos? Because for some reason I remember you did. Because they never went in depth about him after that. But yeah, I just remember it was a chocolate Goro and then it was the vanilla one. Yeah, I always loved how Mortal Kombat had those backstories and side stories. And like I said, I never understood why they didn't continue making like games based on that. Like I like how they did kind of mythologists. I like how they did Shaolin Special Forces, Shaolin Monks, and I like how they did the conquest mode on Armageddon. I mean yeah, Mortal Kombat Armageddon. They should have just continued that. I don't understand what they were doing. The story had that game literally has like a million characters, and each character has their own story that you can have a video game off of. They could literally never stop making new Mortal Kombat type games. They could remake Mythologist. I'm thinking like, why was that game never remade? It just did stuff and then canceled it. The budgets weren't right. It's just I don't know. It's just crazy how they can have a good concept or something, but they can't make money off of it, so they don't do it. Wow. Yeah. See, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that. That'd be an interesting backstory. Because as far as yeah, the game. I mean, as far as the storyline, everybody starts out it's just Shell. I mean, Shane Shun's in power. Goro is just seemed like this minion that's under him, and then a bunch of under people that's trying to protect protect Shane Shun's plan. Like that's just all we really know, but we don't really know too much behind that. As the games come out, you hear all these other stories, and yeah, they definitely could have elaborated. They could have had a game, specifically between like Johnny Cage and Goro. That would have been crazy. Johnny Cage's quest or some shit like that. Damn it, man. Yeah, it's yeah. Mythologists didn't sell well, and I know Special Forces didn't sell well. They were fun games, though. I'm not gonna lie. I just like the concept of them because at the time, again, like third person perspective action combat based games, those were popular. As you see later on, like when we playing now, these type of games didn't really exist like that in '97. They didn't really have like an open world based setting like that, like they pretty much had later on. So they were on to something to have that out in '97, especially on the PlayStation. So I just thought they could have expanded upon that when the PS2 came out. The only thing they did was again Armageddon, but I can see why they would combine all that into one game because it probably was people like me that were saying like, hey, y'all should do it like this back then. But it was also people that were saying, well, we just want a fighting game, and we don't really care about all the other stuff. So they had to satisfy both parties, I guess. Again, like it's all business. So I swear, if everything was about just making sense instead of it being about business, we would have so many good games right now. But since it's about business, it's just that's what we're gonna get a culmination of what everybody wants to see, basically. That's why it's not as many like game developers anymore because people probably too scared to try to get in the market where it's super competitive for one, and then um, the stuff might you might do all that and the stuff might not even sell. You know. Yeah, man. What year would you say that they were going to work on it? Because Midway, yeah, I don't know if they would have done an awesome job with it. Midway games were okay, but if they had a made, I think if they had a remade Mythologist, like let's say in 2006 or something like that, I think it would have been much better. It probably would have turned out like how Nightmare Creatures 2 was, because a lot of those third party based games were being, kind of just out there. They remade Shinobi, they remade Ninja Gaiden during that time. Um,
They were trying a lot of those like uh, 2D platforming games that were successful back in the 90s. They were trying to redevelop those in 3D later on, and a lot of them just weren't working like that. Damn it! I'm supposed to deflect her attacks against her. Shit! I guess when I look at her, that's when she's going to throw it at me. Fuck! Hit her! 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 God damn it! Shit! Shit! I need a shield. God damn it! That's one thing about this game. You gotta stick and move. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is the Medusa. Not like other Medusas I've fought in games. Well, the way you gotta defeat her is you gotta wait on the damn shield to show up and keep dodging these snakes. And I guess her just prancing around. And you gotta keep waiting for the shield to appear. And then when she throw this random shit at you, you gotta deflect it against her. But she do it so random. This shit take a long time. God damn. Right, she's supposed to look so ugly that she turns men's faces to stones. That's what the concept was in the Greek mythology. But I like the idea of her being like this pretty deceptive woman that you think you can sit there and glance at, but yet that she'll turn you into stone. In Death Trap Dungeon, the Medusa in that one, she got big breasts. If y'all ever notice, if you sit there and stare at her too long, she'll turn your ass to stone too. I like the idea of her looking attractive, and and you thinking it's something that's an eye of beauty, but they'll turn you to stone. So it's deceptive. just like a woman is. It took a long time to figure out. Damn it. I don't like the camera angles on here, but that's the only thing you can see what I'm looking at. Fuck, hit her, hit her, hit her. God damn, fuck. Shit. Sticky move. Bad if I'm being a little too quiet. I'm trying to concentrate on this bitch. And these snakes. shit. It ain't even that difficult. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they just massacred the concept of her. She's ugly to some and pretty to others. Fuck, she did me. Well, it wasn't long. At least it ain't like on Death Trap Dungeon, you know, on there. Once she hits you, man, it's over. It's like you can't even, the game's done. And here it's just a little brief little stun, you know. Oh, no. I'm sitting here fighting that. Oh, it's took a lot of patience. Damn. I kind of remember it being like this. So. Shit. The shield keeps showing up over here. I'm gonna switch the spikes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Huh. What? Well, then how the hell I lose my shield then? Why the hell are they protected by her, but I just get bounced back? You know, what logic is that, man? All right, hit her. God damn, bro! Like the fuck? We ain't get that long. Bruh. Ah, damn. Man, you only been getting like, it seems like you getting less. I'm getting less hits than you. The more I'm fighting. Yeah, she's strutting around like she on a damn runway or something. Like, that bitch, my life at stake right now. Like, what are you doing? Is she Kim Kardashian? Kim Gorgashian. Ew. That's what I'm gonna name this damn video. Kim Gorgashian. I'm not gonna worry about that. Fuck, man. I should have got a little bit more hits in. I'm gonna have to use my special. Nah. That's all they did. Shit. Yeah, I forced him to just do hand-to-hand combat, man. That's not no choice. You give me that easily. You won't. Yep. Almost there. We'll get Kim Gorgashian, Gortrashian out of here. My days on the runway. It'll be long over. Strutting hell while she went. Fuck. Yeah. I do like the way that the Medusa turning you to stone. I like how it works in this game though. It's not too harsh, you know. In Death Trap Dungeon, it was just harsh the way they did it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, as soon as you got hit, the game was over, but you could easily get hit, you know? And they don't make it really too harsh in this game. It's just balanced right, you know? The only annoying thing is the snakes. And then getting poisoned. I remember when I first did this shit, I didn't know what was going on. Yeah, they knew this would be impossible. Most definitely. But it's kind of basic. I mean, I guess this game is very pattern based. Like once you see the patterns of the enemies, then you kind of can figure out what to do until the very end. I just remember that final boss was an asshole. But up until him though, I do remember it being somewhat fair. They gave me full health. Cool. I've been out here stomping like I'm Little Giant on the east side, man. I mean, this is the only way you're gonna really win in this game. Mm. They're trying to show here. If y'all notice, he looks brown. He don't look like one white guy. They're trying to show. He looks like me. He got a reddish, like brownish tint. These video games be real cryptic. I remember in that movie, I mean that game, The Mummy One, they literally showed the picture of that of the ISIS basically trying to it was like a gift of sacrifice, and I've seen that picture before. I remember, but it wasn't depicted where the figures looked like, you know, like what I had seen in that game. They looked like again like a reddish, brownish, copper tint, just like how they described them in in a lot of old pictures and old texts that I've read in books and stuff. They said they had like a reddish copper tint like this. And I remember that in that game they showed them exactly how they look, but you wouldn't see that like in your regular history textbooks and stuff. So these developers knew what they were putting in here. The house was to transport to the heavens or some shit from there. Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's kind of like real life. You got to do your own self exploration. I don't know why I feel like I'm supposed to do something here. You know? Trying not to look at the strategy guy. I'm trying to do this normal. Go back to my old days. You know, when we had to do it like this. So, can't go back in here. Take two back. Oh, here we go. I don't remember what the hell all these rubies even do, but it just seemed like an Easter egg. It just make me want to collect them. Where the hell the enemies at? So I came from here. So where the fuck are they? Oh, see no one motherfucker. That's the phone back. Where am I supposed to go? So, so if there, all these doors are locked. I mean, somebody should have popped up by now. What the hell is going on? Someone I know. Yeah, his punches are just it seem like so basic, so like first generation animation type of shit. Punching like some old iron worker trying to fight somebody in a work site or some shit. Come on, man. Like, well, where the fuck are they? Let me try to see where exactly I do because I'm really confused. Yeah, the speed runs that people do with this stuff, these are people that have played this shit a million times, so they know where to go and what to do. I could probably do a speed run of Resident Evil 2, the first one, not the remake, but the one that was on Nintendo 64. I could probably do a speed run of that. I used to be able to do a speed run of Army Men Sargent's Heroes. I don't think I could do that now. Um, I used to be able to do a speed run of yeah, Resident Evil 2, Streets of Rage 2, and that's really about it. All the other games, I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't do a speed run on like that no more. Yeah, these guys, they just know the game that much. I mean, I don't have that much patience for older games, honestly, because the controls get to be unpredictable sometimes. They get to be just really clunky. I just would rather That's why honestly, most of the games I notice y'all notice that I try or at least try to stream more like is more PlayStation and PS2 games because I gotta admit it's kind of hard for me to play a lot of those Sega games now. Some of them, again, like I can still play, but a lot of them I really cannot play no more. Like a lot of those games just have not really aged that well. Like I tried to play, what was that, Judge Dredd, not too long ago because I thought about streaming it, but yeah, like I just could not play it, man. That game's controls were just too bad. I'm supposed to do some weird shit with this. Oh, okay. I got about okay, man. So I see I gotta go to each tower. You know, besides punching, the way he opens doors to me always has just been funny. It's like he's trying to go inside a pantry to get something to eat, you know. Everything he does on here just seems unnecessary. Every action or movement. It's like his ligaments would just move like they were just built out of like Play-Doh or something. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Let me get in there. Fuck. child. Right. When he went against Rygaard, yeah, I think so. Rygaard was a bitch to me. Maybe not the NES Rygaard, but the PS2 Rygaard, yeah, oh yeah, he'll probably destroy him. He'll probably eradicate that for him. PS2 Rygaard was bigger wussy than the guy on Shinobi, not Shinobi, but Wrath of the Black Manta. What's going on here? Okay. I remember these guys. I think after this, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and probably call it a night. But I'm definitely gonna get back on this weekend, if not tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Just stay tuned. You know, we definitely gonna get back at this. But I want to do a little movie review for everybody. It'll be like I said, it'll be more of a combined effort review. We all gonna do a review of it. I think that'll be a dope thing to do in a live stream. Like we all do a live stream. We all do a review on the movie instead of it all just being on me. You know. Oh yeah, fuck! I forgot about that. Yeah. Get rid of him. Get rid of him. That was fun. Georgia line. Your side train. Anyway. Damn it, I meant to get him, not me. Fuck. 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 Dog, I swear the things are fucking useless, man. Damn it. I was trying to avoid. This motherfucker wants to steal. Yeah, man, this game fun as hell, man. Something I do remember about it. It was pretty goddamn fun. We're probably just going to save it here, and y'all give me till tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Saturday. Not sure what y'all got going on this weekend, but shit, I'm 35 years old. Oh, 34, about to be 35 years old this year. My Saturdays ain't nowhere near as interesting as they used to be, even though they weren't as interesting before. But I'm not gonna be doing nothing. Probably just go do some work orders. I gotta go up to Swanee and do the building I clean every Saturday from this job I got, and then I'll probably be back here this later on in the evening, and I'll live stream then. So I'll probably jump back on, maybe around like 7 or 8, sometime before then. I'll let y'all know. But we'll jump on, do a little bit of this, and then we probably even jump on and do a little bit of movie review or something in the meantime too, and maybe even some little trivia as well. But yeah, we're gonna go on and probably continue this tomorrow. If not tomorrow, definitely Sunday. Like I said, I know I'm not doing nothing tomorrow, so I know that will be a good day. But I'm not sure about y'all, but like I said, I know I'll be available. But I guess y'all stay tuned. I appreciate y'all for joining in, and just try to stay consistent with this stuff. And yeah, I'll catch y'all tomorrow.